And what is up? Welcome back. It's Friday night. We're here with the Average Boys podcast. I'm here with my host, Trigger. How you doing, my man?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Oh, tell me. I know your week's been hell, but I need to know the juicy gossip because I know you got a special day coming up.
Indeed, man. Tomorrow I get married.
Here we go.
Tomorrow I get married.
Congratulations, brother.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
man. And then on top of that, yeah, so that's why, Mrs. Audrey is not here right now. She's actually at her mom's, and she is just, we're doing that little pre-wedding tradition where I will see her the night before. And she actually hasn't been here for like the past couple of days. So like she's been getting like a whole lot done, like with her mom and stuff. And so like me just being like a huge old weenie and stuff, I'm like, I miss my girlfriend.
Oh yeah, dude.
I've been sleeping alone for the past 2 days and it's fucking horrible.
I mean, it's good though. It's good that you're actually following the tradition and stuff like that. Nervous as fuck.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we're not trying to be heathens.
Yay, Danny says, congrats, love still exists.
Indeed it does. Indeed it does.
Is it okay for Audrey to be in here watching us too?
Yeah, no, I actually told her, I was like, yo, you should watch my show. And she was like, no, I'm totally gonna watch because this is the only way that I can actually see you.
Awesome. As a matter of fact, yes, Cristela Rodriguez, this is Cristela, my friend's mom, asking if she's getting married. No, Trigger's gonna be the one getting married. So he's actually getting married, I believe. Well, Sunday. You guys already did all the wedding stuff, though, right?
Dude, we're getting tomorrow. You know this.
Okay. Yeah.
You need to be there.
It's Sunday, but it's not. It's gonna be Saturday, and it's gonna be a cool spot. We're super excited to go check it out.
Yeah. In literally 12 hours, in 24 hours, I will be married.
So did you end up getting your tux?
Yeah, dude. It's actually it's in my room.
I feel I should have messaged you on Wednesday and told you that you needed to make sure you got your tux, man.
And I think that's when they finished my tux. Like they finished the alterations for my tux on Wednesday. And then I got that email like late as fuck too. And I was like, dude, I would have been like, damn, Chris, slacking.
I will take it easy on me, man. Please. Please.
Caught the homeboy lacking.
I'm getting old, man. My brain don't work like it used to. Too many concussions, my bro. So how's everything been going, man? Tell us about the preparations you guys been taking.
So her and I have been trying to hammer out like the last little bit of details. So today she had to call the florist and make sure that the colors were correct. There was also like the cake stuff that we needed to take care of today. There was my dad had picked up my tux yesterday. So since I was busy all day yesterday, I ended up getting my tux as I was hanging out with my sister. And then on top of that, my sister's here, and my sister also does the same job that I do, but she does it in the old shop that I was in, over in Killeen. Mm-hmm. So she was helping me out, and she's like a huge fucking help, dude. Huge help. I honestly could not have done like half of what I did today without my sister's help. It was amazing. And she completely caught me up. And then on top of that, I was trying to, get in contact with Audrey, making sure not really making sure, kind of more just asking like, hey, what's, what are you doing on your end? And so she was like, oh, well, I'm getting this done. I'm getting this done. I'm getting this done.
And you guys have still seen communication.
Yeah. And so, everything is pretty much taken care of. So tomorrow it's just the, where am I going to stand?
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Excellent. So you guys already got everything situated for the wedding. You said you guys got your photographer. You said you got all the catering, of course, done probably by the restaurant and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
Did you guys spend a pretty penny?
Yeah.
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 And that's because it's not even like the old school style, like traditional thing where it's like super like the huge church.
Yeah,
like,
no,
it's a little bit more
100% casual.
Yeah, it's a little bit more kind of like chill.
Yeah, Audrey was getting pretty all day.
Audrey, you don't need to do that much. You're always pretty.
See.
We love you either way. All the ladies that have to spend so much time trying to put on all that makeup to be impressive. You guys are all beautiful. All beautiful. So, other than that, what's been going on? What have you heard through the grapevine and the nerd tree?
So,
Anything cool?
so I actually just watched episode 3 of WandaVision,
Yes.
and that finally started getting some traction for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week with no spoilers, but we were saying how that slow start really put it really put a stitch on the thing, right?
Yeah, and like I saw that when you had made that post on your Facebook, about how like it was a kind of like, I'm not gonna say a rough start, but a slow start,
Slow
and it
start.
was
Yeah, it wasn't rough. It was just slow.
yeah, and so that's why I was kind of like, okay, yeah, I see that, 100%, and
You know,
then like episode 3 happened, and then you finally start putting together like, yeah,
and
for
that's
me,
that's
for me, for me, I called the ending scene.
Mhm.
I called it. I was like, called it, knew it.
You know,
100%.
if it's possible, maybe towards the ending of the show today, we can do like a small little discussion about it. Maybe talk a
I'm
little bit of
100% down.
spoilers with those that have seen it, because we don't want to ruin the show for you. We want the opportunity for everybody to get out there and, of course, support the cast, support the crew, support all these people, because they are pulling off an amazing show in a time where it's hard to make a film. And they're making a film into a television show, which it opens up a lot of possibilities for future shows. I think the other thing is like of course, DC and Marvel are two different companies if you think about it, of course. But Marvel just pushed back what Black Widow.
Yeah, it's
Did you see
reported
that?
that they're going to push it back.
Which is going to push back, of course,
Yeah.
the Eternals, and it's going to push all those films back, because I really think with the new administration that's coming in, I think they're hoping that things get opened up a little bit more and they're able to try to make that money back. I think they're trying to hold out on trying to release it the way they did Wonder Woman, because they saw how Wonder Woman failed hard.
Yeah, but Wonder Woman didn't fail because of its release. Wonder Woman failed because it was a trash movie.
Yeah, you see. But the thing is like, if I'm not mistaken, Wonder Woman is available for free if you have a subscription to HBO Max. Right? You don't need to pay the extra money to get like a premiere service, or it's like a couple of bucks, right?
Yeah.
To be able to see a superhero movie in general, you would think the number would be high for them to be doing it at home.
Or would expect it to be high.
Expect it to be, but if I'm not mistaken, I think I just read today that Souls did better in the streaming numbers than Wonder Woman did.
Yeah.
But do you think that's because of the fact that Netflix has probably more viewers or more subscribers than HBO Max? Because even right now, HBO Max is kind of like, I'm kind of on the wire about getting it.
While I do understand that notion, I do have to say that like HBO Max for me, because I have HBO Max, me and Audrey have it, and I like it because there are certain things that are like on Hulu and on Netflix that are already on HBO Max. And on top of that, like for me, HBO Max has The Big Bang Theory. So when I'm at work, or if I'm driving somewhere, guess what the fuck I'm watching? Big Bang Theory. And I haven't seen that show in forever, and nowhere has it except for HBO.
I wasn't even expecting that. What Robert Flotus just said. He said Morbius was also
pushed back too,
and that's dealing with Sony. That's not even dealing officially with Marvel.
Yeah.
So like that pushback of Black Widow kind of like pushed back a lot of films, and I think it's because of that fear of failure in the box office and streams.
While I do understand that, and this is me just kind of like playing devil's advocate, I would love the reason that it was actually pushed back, because they want to have some sort of like MCU tie-in. But that's just me playing devil's advocate.
I mean, yeah, I could see that. That's a good point. I mean, it's one of those things like it was this past week that I was kind of like contemplating if I was going to get HBO Max. But the reason why I wanted to get HBO Max is because it's a dumb reason. They have Astro Boy, like the new movie that just came out a couple months, like years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of Astro Boy, and I cannot find it anywhere on any streaming service. And I was contemplating on getting it just for that reason. And then of course it's like I have a pretty good collection of DC movies, but then I would like to have the opportunity to not have to use a DVD player to put it. I'd just like to just put it on whenever I want.
That's fair.
Yeah. So use ours, Chris. I'm never on. But yeah, that would be nice. I would totally use yours. But then again, it's the concept of being able to, get it myself and have it for, of course, my other reasons and stuff like that to watch all the
Well, they
things.
have profiles. That's what I like. It's very Netflix ish, and like they have profiles.
Yeah, well, Audrey, he can't give it to me right now because he's gonna give it to everybody in the chat.
Bet.
Bet. Everyone get on premiere style.
Right, dude. We'll
Yeah,
have
so it was
a watch party.
it was very interesting because like the WandaVision television series, you could see how that could work as a film.
Yeah.
Like if it started off at the very beginning the same way. But you know what? Like I do dig it as a series, but then again, I don't. It's still at the pace that it's going at. I still don't see how in 6 more episodes
They're going to flesh out the entire story.
Entire phase 4.
I 100% agree with that.
So
like it's gonna. I'm not going to say that it's going to rush, but I think a lot of big things are going to happen a little too fast.
You know what, and you know what? It's one of those things that I do believe what they mean is it's going to set up the introduction of a certain people.
Yeah.
Yeah, not really necessarily setting up phase
and not
4.
just people, but I'd have to say events entirely. And the reason that I say that is only because like we've had damn near confirmations from Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers that this is going to set up Doctor Strange and Spider-Man.
Yep. There's a lot of crazy things.
Yeah.
The introduction of certain characters, the way people acted in this,
and the way that like episode 3 ended. That's why I was kind of like, and like I'm not at all giving spoilers, but the way that episode 3 ended, I was like, okay, yep, this is happening.
We were talking about that whole situation being a process already.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And that's why, like, I really think that they're blending a few stories together and not just a single one, but they're taking aspects from different stories and then they're making a solid one, which is cool because I'm all for it. They are doing a good job with what they have. I just think that they're like kind of going about certain things very interesting. And I did hear a fan theory, and I'll talk about that later on in the episode. And it actually includes Darcy.
Okay. Very, very cool. Let's see what else has been going on. I think we talked about this a little bit last week. DC cut a bunch of new titles from their comic line. I think it was like 15 to 18 comic lines.
Yeah, but they also did just start what's that new series?
Future State.
Yeah, they finally started Future State. And you know what? It's badass.
You know what? I've been hearing some good stuff about it. I've been hearing that it's
real cool. Like
I've been hearing that it's pretty well taken in by the communities and stuff like that when it comes to comic books.
My only gripe and my only real gripe is that yet again, Batman just cannot die. that guy is a fucking just plot point now. That's all he is.
The thing is okay, so from the comic books, like even from the prior episodes, Batman Beyond, we know Bruce Wayne lives to his older ages because he's going to be the guy that helps Terry McGinnis, right?
Yeah.
But when it came to the Future State, I was really anticipating the idea of them introducing a young Terry McGinnis.
Yeah. And that's kind of like what I thought. And like a somewhat older Damian.
Yes.
Like a kid who's like in his like early 20s, like 20, 21 or some shit. And, granted, I'm glad that they're going the way that they're going. What I want to see is the Red X reveal.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, that's all I really give a fuck about. It's just the Red X reveal and John Kent.
So you know what? That's probably the most excited because John Kent's character has been awesome since the introduction of him. He was such a new I don't know how to say this, but he was such an excellent addition to the Superman. He was a breath
of fresh air when it came to the Superman mythos and character, because you hear Superman and all you think is indestructible.
Yes,
that's it. And then you get introduced to a kid who takes like the best of kind of like the humanity and both worlds when it comes to Superman. Like you have a kid who's super strong, super duper strong, like is at the age of like 12 starting to rival his father's like abilities,
Hmm.
which is
Absolutely correct.
unfucking heard of. And then on top of that, he's just learning how to come into his own. Wanted to be a Teen Titan, didn't get the chance to, and so like now he's off doing whatever it is
And
he's
got
doing.
kidnapped by his grandfather.
Yeah, and gets kidnapped by his grandfather, ends up on Earth 3, and now
And
he's
then
fighting. Yeah,
gets tortured by an alternate variation of his own father.
yeah.
Yeah,
And so I mean that kid is going to come back with some huge PTSD.
yeah. Well, the
And,
thing is like he's gonna have okay. So the way they used to write Superman, and kind of like the way they still do, is he's always been like really honorable, kind of Captain America esque. Where
yeah,
like he does no wrong, and no matter what, it always has to be done the specific way of safety and insurance, right? Like the innocence, the purity of Superman comics has always been the purest form. Not a lot of cussing, not a lot of this and that. Like never really loses his cool. But I feel like that's always been something that readers have always wanted. And I think the introduction of John Kent really gives us the opportunity to follow into that line with his son. Because if there's anything cool about Superman with John Kent and Lois Lane in the comics, is how awesome it is to read Clark Kent being the father figure that Jonathan Kent was to him when he was younger, and how he always like relates back to like little things that he would tell him, and then him being the father to John Kent, trying to be that same mentor. Like I remember like I was reading Super Sons, right?
dude, Super Sons is amazing. And
And
I loved Super Sons because it finally highlighted like what John was like really capable of.
mhm.
And then on
Not
top of
only
that,
that, it showed a more chilled variation of Bruce Wayne as a father.
yeah, and it really did rein him in.
Yeah,
And
it
you
kind
know,
of
it was
brought him in more caring.
yeah, and well, I liked it because like I forget what happened. What had happened? I know that the two of them got into some trouble, or got into some mischief, right? And the two of them are just there staring at their sons, and it's just like the panel is just like Superman and Batman just glaring at these two, and they're
Well,
like,
I think if I'm not mistaken, that was probably in the first couple of episodes where um, Superman and Batman were telling him that they need more training. Like they need more training to go out and do stuff. And John didn't want to listen to him.
yeah,
And so Damien is the one that he goes to like a big brother to kind of get him out of the house and sneak him out and do crazy things at night. Which is, I think they joined the Teen Titans, but
well,
John,
Damien does, Damien does, but he, uh, uh, but John's too young. He's only
yeah,
12.
he's 12. Yeah, he's 12. He's not 13 yet. He's not a teen yet to be
Yeah,
officially.
yeah, he hasn't officially hit teen, but
Yeah,
like,
but that was super funny.
yeah, like semantics at this point.
Yeah.
No, I actually just found the panel,
And I think they end up fighting like the daughter of Amazo.
or some shit like that.
Yeah, I want to say it was something like that. It was super cool. The one that I was really excited for was in the back of some of the original comics that they had, like one or two for Super Sons. They had concept art for the Dark Knight Returns variation of Superboy versus Damian Wayans in the big suit that Batman wore.
Yeah,
Yeah, they had a concept art in case Damian ever fought Jonathan Kent, so he had his own little super mech suit that Batman has. I thought it was really cool. I was really, really, really anticipating the opportunity to see that.
yeah,
It never went through. Robert Foda says, "Bro, can't wait this weekend. Conor McGregor fights tomorrow night."
dude, I know, and like,
guys
no shit, I'm
and of
gonna
course
miss
the big one,
be in my wedding.
God versus of King Kong trailer finally, bro. But still waiting on Mortal Kombat. Cannot. Actually, Robert, I'm a mixed martial arts instructor. So watching the fights, yeah, my fighters usually hit us up and invite us to go watch them and stuff like that. Aaron Cortez is one of my fighters, a pro fighter, and Andrew Gonzalez, he's also one of my amateurs. Those guys love Connor. But Dustin Poirier is no one to sleep on, man. The guy is a workaholic. He's a champion. He's a hardworking individual. I think in the first fight that they got into, he was very emotional and he let all the crap talking get to him. And I think this time he kind of
Who the fuck is this guy?
yeah, yeah. I mean, fucking Conor McGregor is no joke when it comes
In your
to
head, bro. He's a
He's
psychological
smart, man.
fucking ninja, dude.
Yeah, he's smart.
With that
But
being said, guys, give me like 2 minutes. I will
yeah,
be
go
right
ahead,
back.
Triggs. Go ahead. Yeah.
Please talk about your fighting.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that real quick. Yeah, guys. So what it is I think this is just my call, Robert. So what we're talking about is this weekend, UFC is hosting another fight. It's a huge fight. The numbers are big. It's Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier. And this is the second time they're meeting up. Dustin got knocked out in the first fight that they had, if I'm not mistaken. Bathroom break. No, actually, Trigger has a friend of his who's coming into his house, and he just needs to go get him inside so that way he can be comfortable. He's going to be staying the weekend because he's going to the wedding. He's hosting a friend at his house. So, yeah, he just went really quick. But like I was saying, the Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor fight, I really think Dustin has a really good opportunity this time because he is aware of the style and how it is to have Conor in front of him. The first time that he had him in front of him, he didn't have that opportunity. So it was like the anxiety, the buildup, and all that stuff. And you're kind of like waiting and figuring it out and stuff. And you're just letting more of the emotion and anxiety beat you than the fight itself. And I think he got caught up on the moment. But I think right now, I think Dustin Poirier has a really good shot. He's smart. He dominated in his last fight very well. And Conor's probably got ring rust. Favorite fighter when you're done and your breakdown. I'm going to say my favorite fighter overall has been Fedor Emelianenko, the last emperor. He was one of the most dominating heavyweight champions in the world. I mean, you don't get a name like the last emperor just fucking taking slack fights or fighting a bunch of tomato cans. The guy was a knockout artist. His sambo is super great. I mean, he's a great individual. And yeah, I think to me, one of my favorite Fedor fights was when he fought, what was that guy's name? The big black dude that he slammed. He got slammed. Hoost. No, it wasn't Ernesto Hoost. I don't know. You guys are probably going to have to do this. That is a very, very fucking metal name. Yes, his name was the last emperor, Fedor Emelianenko. I think he went 27-0 before he took his first fight and lost. And I think the reason why he lost is because towards the ending of his career, he started releasing training videos of what they were doing in their camps. And I think that's where he made the mistake because then people were able to study them a little bit better. Bob Sapp was good, but he wasn't like a hardcore fighter, dude. Like, I mean, he was hardcore. He got in chingos of fights, dude. Like he's the man, dude. Like, I'm not gonna lie. But Bob Sapp was more of a character. In Japan, he's super relatable, dude. Everybody loves him. He's like a giant bear, dude. And he makes so much funny, crazy videos of like doing like TV shows in Japan and stuff. He just really adopted the culture and the people of Japan after he got into Pride a long time ago. But yeah, if you guys get an opportunity, Fedor Emelianenko, if you want, check out the fight between him and Andrei Arlovsky. If not, look up the fight where I want to say it was Kevin Randleman. It's got to be, look, that was right off the top of my head. That's how you know I know this shit. Kevin Randleman, him and Fedor were fighting in Pride, and Kevin Randleman hooks him with a gable grip around the waist, picks him up and slams him right on his head. And then when he gets slammed on his head, the dude, Fedor Emelianenko, from that position after being landed on his head, then rotates.
You got us numbers though.
Takes the fucking wrist lock and takes the Kimura. He took a Kimura from bottom position and tapped him out after he got slammed on his head. Most amazing slam comeback. If you want to compare it to any other slam out there, it was the Rampage one that he did. That Brazilian guy knocked him out.
Oh my god, dude! That one was an ugly one. That was a pure knockout.
Yeah, like, that was straight.
Yeah, I know that. What he tried getting him in like a triangle, and so he just he ended up standing up and just slammed him.
Everybody knew Rampage for it, but Kevin Randleman hit Fedor with like this amazing suplex, dude. And if you get an opportunity to watch it, because right as soon as Fedor literally lands, like the camera catches him land directly on his head and shoulders, he literally rotates, catches the Kimura, taps him out. Super amazing, dude. Super amazing. Myers, we got a comment from Myers Gonzalez. He says, so proud of my baby boy bartender getting married tomorrow. All my best, buddy. Take care of each other and enjoy the ride.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah.
All right, we got Trigger back. Welcome back, Triggs. Triggs, are you guys going to be watching the fights tomorrow? Oh,
Dude,
we'll
I'm gonna
probably
be.
yeah, you're getting
I
married.
will be in the middle of my reception. So if I can get like a TV at my reception, fucking
He's
show
gonna
the
sit
fight.
on his iPhone.
You're right, dude. Oh my god, I'm gonna go piss off. Like, give them our room if they're both.
You're gonna
staying.
set up one of those like eye things, like those
My
guys.
fiance said that you guys are sleeping in our room. So there we go.
They're gonna get one of those little eye tracking devices, dude. And you're gonna have the game or the fight going on. Something's gonna happen right when the guy goes in.
Piss off my entire wedding party.
You say I do, you're gonna be like, yes, yeah, I do.
Fucking.
Yeah, that's super funny. But yeah, guys, if you get an opportunity, don't forget. Not only is my boy Trigger getting married tomorrow, our boy Trigger married again tomorrow with Audrey, but Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier is actually fighting on their fight in their celebration. That's what I'm going to tell everybody. The fight is going on because they are celebrating your guys' wedding.
Right.
Yeah, Dana White was like, "Here's a gift to you guys. Conor McGregor's back, baby."
Motherfucker, dude. I hate these.
Dude, in the middle of the weigh-ins, dude, Dana White's sitting right next to Khabib in like one of the interviews.
Dude, if Logan Paul doesn't go and crash that fight, trash.
There's no way,
I'm
dude.
calling it right now.
Literally, Dana White literally leans over to Khabib and he's like, "Dude, the numbers of Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor topped your guys' numbers. Just imagine what you and Conor Part 2 would do." Dude, bro, Khabib literally retired because his dad passed away. Like, grade up, honorable sight. Like, he literally was like, "Yo, dude, I'm retiring because I don't do this without my dad." And Dana White, dude, no fucking chill. Hey, bro, that's real pussy shit. You don't want to make money or what?
Right, dude? Hey, bro, your dad wants to see you succeed, pussy.
Yeah. Dick, dude. Like, God, that's so sad. But yeah, actually, okay, so me and Triggs were talking about this earlier the week. We were like, okay, cool. We have an episode coming up the day before your wedding.
I have to feed
What do you want to talk about? And Trigger came up with one of the coolest ideas. He literally says, why don't we talk all the most important weddings in comic book history? And I was like,
in honor of what is going on, I thought it was a pretty good topic because it is just one of the most slept on discussions that like you see in like podcasts. I mean, think about it. Comics, Comic Story and Comic Explained. I think it's probably covered like 3 comic book weddings ever, 5 maybe tops. And we have our list that that we put together. And I was just like, because I remember like right after our last show, I was like, you know what, dude, like I'm getting married the next day after our show. So let's talk comic book weddings. No one talks about that ever. But it's like one of those things that like you hear about it and you're like, oh, dude, that's so fucking cool. And so it's kind of like one of those things like, hey, man, let's bring this up. It's a pretty good time. I'm getting married. Comic book weddings are actually a pretty important thing. They've actually segued into very, 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 very important decisions and arcs that have gone on in comics. And so when we like brought that, we were like, you know what, dude? Yeah, I mean, we're going to go through a list, we'll kind of talk about them, but our last 3 are probably of some of the most important in comic books, period.
Yeah, straight up, man. So I'm going to go ahead and start off the list.
Start it off, brother.
By one of my favorite characters. He's been a loved one for a very long time. Most of the time, he's not really discussed. In the last couple of years, he hasn't been discussed because their family has been removed from the comic book industry. But I'm talking about The Thing and Alicia Masters.
Yep.
Yeah, when The Thing got married, it was very cool because it was a very, very chill, typical wedding. But the craziest thing was like, you don't realize that Ben Grimm is a Jewish man.
Yeah.
And at the end of his wedding, he literally grabs the cups, he throws them on the ground and he stomps on them, or the dish or whatever. It's like one of the traditions that
it's a cup. Yeah, I think they like slam cups or some shit like that.
And I remember
I'm not trying to offend nobody, and I'm not Jewish. I do apologize.
No, it's understandable. I'm not Jewish, and I know it's a traditional thing that they do, but I just didn't realize that at the time when I was reading that comic book as a kid. And I remember when I saw Ben Grimm, it was like they threw a dish or something on the ground, and then you saw that he had the little hat on, the little hat. And I was like, it woke me up to understanding that the characters not only have different races, like on their skin colors, and are different by nature, but some of them also come from a different traditional background. Where, like in most weddings, I think everybody here is old enough and young enough to remember the Fantastic Four movies. They did it in the Fantastic Four movie also.
Yeah, but
Ben gets married.
I don't directly remember that wedding. I
do.
remember them getting prepared for it because, obviously, Silver Surfer, the second one was about, the Susan Storm and
Yes.
Ben Richards. Yeah, and so that's why I was like, but I remember like that being like a prominent thing that they were like getting ready for their wedding as well.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think they did it in the first movie where Ben Grimm gets married to her at the end of the film.
You're probably right.
I remember Chiklin's the actor guy doing the whole like dish throwing thing. Maybe it's from another movie then, but it's just one of those things like
the canceled one that never came out.
Oh yeah, no kidding. It couldn't be the new Fantastic Four. The bad one. Oh man, we should have an episode discussing that film. I could literally talk an hour of how many times Sue Storm's hair changes, like the wig changes, like throughout the entire movie.
Dude, Kate Mara's A1, but still.
Okay,
and fucking I forget Miles Austin or something like that. Miles something. Dude, that guy is such a great actor, and the guy who played Ben Grimm.
Oh, dude,
is so slept on as an actor.
The kid from
don't get me wrong, that cast was amazing.
Yeah,
was amazing. And then obviously Michael B. Jordan.
Human Torch, amazing, dude.
Yeah.
Well, let's not get too sidetracked because we could talk that movie all day.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I remember how important it was for me growing up in understanding how big the Marvel Universe was. And it was such like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't like a huge wedding. I think if I'm not mistaken, like the Avengers were there, some characters were there. The comic book didn't really sell like super big. It was like not a huge wedding, but it was so important to people who read it and paid attention to see that there was a different culture that was in there and that they were respecting that culture through the wedding and in the comic book by drawing it even out.
And it's super funny that you mentioned that. And, because that makes a really good point. Because I remember reading it, but like I didn't fully grasp the importance of it, and I think the reason being is because like at the time it was already dulled for me, and that would like, and I'm not trying to like early lead into like our next wedding, but it would have to have been the Peter Parker and Mary Jane wedding.
Oh yeah, dude.
For me, that one was like, I've been waiting for years on that one. And granted, I haven't been.
I think that's probably one of the most important weddings.
I was always really reluctant about Peter Parker. I always thought he was a whiny bitch for like everything. But then, like when I really got to reading him, I was like, you know what, dude, like this kid is like the A1 of like superheroes.
Yeah. And he's literally like the pinnacle of what they want in the hero of the Marvel universe.
Yeah. And so that's why I was kind of like, all right, and when I read their wedding, I was like, dude, this is amazing. But more so because of his stories later.
Oh, dude, the one that comes after? Oh, my God.
Yeah, it is just heartbreaking.
Yes, it is.
Heart-wrenching, dude. And I'm like...
One more day?
Yeah, one more day. Mm-hmm. And then there's alternate universes where, like, he unknowingly kills her because of his radiation. His man juice is radioactive, and it gave her radiation poisoning, and she died. Cancer, right? Yeah, and he didn't notice that. He didn't know that, and she didn't know that. And why would anyone know that, right? Yeah. And well, she fucking dies. And I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, that might have been Comic X.
Yeah, or something. It was like, I think it was a what if story.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, and then there's other universes that this breaks into the idea of the Spider-Verse, where he ended up having a child with her, and the child ends up being probably one of the most important characters in the Spider-Verse, the daughter of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like that's even crazier too.
And then her little brother, dude. The little brother too.
Yeah, the brother also, the baby, right?
Yeah.
The child. Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think that One More Day deals with a very strange villain.
Plus House of M. Because he kind of gets it back.
Yeah, because it would be Mephisto. He comes in and says to Peter Parker, this is after their wedding, that he wants to make a deal that what is it like that Aunt May won't die or something.
I
I know it's something.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, like he wants to make a deal that if he says yes, then Peter Parker has to give them the love that he has for Mary Jane and the wedding. Like all of that memory and all of that stuff. It's a very interesting concept, dude. But there was that I remember how crazy that comic book was, but I remember that it wasn't adopted very well by the community. A lot of people hated it.
Well, because One More Day was just sad as shit, and so like everyone read it and they were like, "I'm never reading this again."
Yeah, and it wasn't resolved. There was no resolve to it. It just like Mephisto came in, took everything, and like that was it. And then it just went back to just being Peter Parker wanting to fall in love with Mary Jane, and it never happening. It happened for
And and like as bad as I always try and feel for Peter Parker, that guy just has so many girls sliding into his DMs, dude. So, he ain't got to worry about shit.
Yeah, he ain't got to worry.
You got Gwen Stacy, you got Spider Gwen, you got Silk, you got Mary Jane, you got Black Cat, fucking dude, you got the roster, brother. You're good.
It's real crazy. Like, yes, that was an important wedding because it does lead up into House of M in a way. But I know for sure that the landscape of it really doesn't change too much. But I know that was a very controversial comic arc episode. And then like it changes the facet of how the community sees the writers more than the comic book itself. Sure. It was very, very interesting.
I just want more food.
Okay. Another one that we have on the list is someone that is very kind of well known. If you're a big fan of the Disney series that they had coming out for actually the Netflix series a little bit, it was the marriage between Luke Cage and Jessica Jones.
And that one to me was just so like, okay.
Yeah, that was
like the only reason I cared about it was just because of the Netflix shows. I mean, I had already known that they were married, and like what happens, I think during Secret Invasion, and because they have a child, and and then like Jarvis is a Skrull, and like they're like
really weird, dude. They have so much weird shit going on during that time.
Yeah, because for anyone who doesn't know, Jarvis is an actual person in the comics.
In the comic,
never see him. But he's an actual person. He's not an AI. he's an old
Kyle. And Kyle comes in with the badass comment: "Who the fuck would want to marry Jessica Jones?"
The blackest man in
the man that talks about sweet Christmas.
Yeah,
the one that just wants to grab coffee with every girl he can see.
Yeah,
Luke Cage, man. It's because they kind of grew up in the same area. They knew each other because of the same people, and then they find out that they're heroes together. They kind of have like a mutual bond. In the comic book,
and they were defenders together.
Yeah, I think remember in the comic book, they're written so much different that they have more interaction. I think it was the problem with the Jessica Jones series. The actress kind of like portrayed her character really dry. Like,
I get it.
Hated everyone. Like even the idea of wanting to go back and watch the series, I wanted to watch Luke Cage, and I still don't care enough to watch Jessica Jones.
I would watch season 3 of Jessica Jones, not 2.
Not the first one. Not the character development part.
The man who increased his black population by 300%. He did, man. He got around.
I mean, it's a very interesting concept because, like, in the comic books, Jessica Jones and Luke Cage make a very solid couple. Like, they are a power couple together.
Yeah, and
Avengers, they do
but that was also the unfortunate thing, dude. Like, they were like a huge power couple, but they were like a really, really small one, and they didn't do much.
Well, they were street level.
Like, I think the last time they had anything significant happen to the two of them was in Age of Ultron.
Yeah, and then there was the kidnapping of the daughter.
And I think that was before that in Secret Invasion.
No, they did it again recently. Or that they took their DNA, the daughter's DNA or something like that. Because Wolverine found it. This would have had to have been after
he died, probably.
Yeah, I want to say Civil War 2. I want to say it was.
Yeah, and I didn't care enough about that story. Yeah, I mean, I got it. I don't have it physically, but I've read it. And like, it was just one of those like, okay, this is just another Avengers versus Inhumans.
Yeah, because they were. I want to say that they had to go out to Madripoor, or what's that one island? The one that the X-Men go to that have all the it's like that one island that Wolverine is always at.
Madripoor.
Is it Madripoor, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Madripoor.
And you know what's even crazier than that? Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to be about Madripoor.
Good.
That's where they're going to be at. I think that's super intense. I think that's great. But,
Good.
If I'm not mistaken, they had to go there because I think it was like Dr. Mr. Sinister or someone had stolen the DNA of the daughter because there's something special about her. So,
as if he didn't get enough of his fucking jollies with, the Hope baby. Sorry, with the Summers kid.
mm-hmm. I mean, it's Mr. Sinister. I mean, the character is very weird. It's very crazy when it comes to the X-Men, but yeah, let's not actually, it would be a cool conversation to have about Mr. Sinister. We can talk about him more as a character if and when we talk about X of Swords.
Okay, we can do that
because he plays a huge role in that, and they finally did something with him that's important. Like they finally did. So that would be interesting. That would be a cool comic book. Maybe I think we should do House of X or X of Swords next month.
Well, we can do we can just do the whole X series.
Mm-hmm.
But we should do that in 2 parts. We should do House of X and then Swords of X.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. We can smash that down. That'd be pretty good. Maybe we'll try to see if we could do it in a month or so. It'd be an interesting story. I'm digging it a little bit. I'm digging the idea. It's because of the rebirth of the X-Men that's so cool. But
they needed it. They needed it hard.
Yeah, dude, they needed it so bad. Okay, so the next one is kind of an interesting one because I caught Trigger with this one a little bit earlier in our conversation, which leads up to a newer wedding that we're going to talk about also that Trigger has been reading for a bit. So it was the wedding of North Star and Kyle, which were X-Men characters in Astonishing X-Men. I think the comic line was like 240 something, maybe around there. You'd have to check it out. It's you got to check out the wedding of North Star and Kyle was. The reason why this wedding was so important was it was the first time that Marvel had done a gay wedding. It was the first time that they married 2 same-sex people in a comic book.
Yeah, and North Star looks literally just like Namor.
Yeah. But you did find it, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the exact issue, though.
Yeah. And you'd have to try to tell me if you can find the year of that comic book was published, because that's what's important.
Still looking.
Like the reason why that plays a big thing in Marvel growth was because of the fact that right now there is a large amount of the community that's out there trying to push for some LGBT community comic books that represent
Astonishing X-Men number 51. This happened in 2012, and they are actually still married.
Yeah, you see, like that happened in 2012, which was years before the conversation. I mean, right now, recently, people have barely been talking about that there's not enough representation in comic books about this stuff. And there have been. But it's just that they're developing stories. You have to write the character in. And it was accepted a long time ago. There wasn't a lot of people that went against that comic book. But the problem with it now is that it's being so forced that it feels too fast. There's not enough opportunity for the audience to love the characters. So that right there opened up the opportunity, and it took a lot of courage, I guess you could say, for the comic book industry to jump up and actually promote something like that, because then it opened up venture for other comic books to do it. This is where you ended up having the relationship of like Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn. Like who else? You had what's his name? Iceman, Bobby Drake.
Yeah,
dude, he ended up coming out and being his most ultimate variation because he felt more comfortable with himself. Like, you had a lot of great story building when it comes to this stuff. Yes, I understand that having more would be better, but you have these strong character arcs that are there, which are very, very important. Excuse me. Which this moment in comic book history then opened up the opportunity for a recent wedding to happen with a character that's about to be prominent in the MCU. Right, Triggs?
Oh yes.
And that is the
Oh yeah.
wedding of Wiccan, the son of Vision and Scarlet Witch, and Hulkling, which is a character that was in, what was the group he was in? Young Avengers? What was it? I want to say it was Young Avengers. I can't remember. Hulkling is such a weird character. I just remember the comic book where Dr. Banner goes after him.
Well, he was in Future Fight.
Oh yeah, the video game, definitely. Yeah, yeah. You see, Sal Seguda, thank you, my man, came out and said, "Yep, Young Avengers."
Yep, Young Avengers. That's
Young
right.
Avengers it is. What's up, Sal? Hope you're doing very good, man. Yeah. So that character, it was very weird because it wasn't really established.
He was also part of the New Avengers. He was actually a part of AIM for a little bit, but it was Avengers idea mechanics, not
Oh God, man.
advanced. He was also part of the Secret Avengers as well.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm looking him up right now. Either way, that guy is a fucking G, dude. I don't care what anyone says. That guy is a goddamn G.
Oh, dude, Hulkling? Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I know you had been reading. He just became more prominent recently. He wasn't really been talked about in a while. Like Trig said, he had just came out in Marvel Future Fight, which is a very big video game that's on Android and mobile phones. If you guys don't play it yet, it's been around for a couple of years. The roster of superheroes is amazing. The gameplay is kind of fun. I know it's a lot of buying and pay to win and stuff like that, but it is a great game nonetheless. The character then became prominent in that one where he was a heavy hitting character that you could buy and download. Of course, over the years, he ended up getting a little bit more dropped down, but he became more popular recently in the new releases of comic book that was titled Empire. Right. And Trigger, you've been reading Empire. What was Empire about?
So Empire is basically about this plant race that the Skrulls don't like and that the Kree also don't like for various reasons, right? And it's way too many to name. But this plant race is based on Earth. And Thor has met the father of the current leader of this plant race. And well, in like their travels, there's a new armada that comes essentially searching for this race so that they can exterminate them. And the Avengers are holding them off and they're trying to like determine like what this armada is. This is very new, but it's very, very big. It rivals the Korean Skrull armadas. But then they find out that that's just their searching party. The armada itself was Kree and Skrull, that they had joined forces. The two largest armadas in the Marvel universe
that have been
have essentially teamed up together. And now, I mean, the Kree and Skrull have shaped Marvel history in numerous ways on multiple occasions. And so when the Avengers find out about this, they're like, fuck. Yep. And when they try and contact, the person who's in charge, lo and behold, it's Hulkling. Because he is of Kree and Skrull, he is now named like their emperor.
Yeah.
And he is now like essentially brought the two of them together because he's of both lineage. And so when this happens, they're trying to like stave off this whole attack and stuff like that. And they're like, no, we're going to kill these people. And they're like, no, you don't know them. Well, more events play out. And granted, guys, I'm trying not at all to give too many spoilers. And, things play out. And then you find out that the plant race is actually evil the entire time and totally fucks with everything. And that's kind of where I'm going to leave it.
And that plant race right now is very prominent in House of Swords, X of Swords. Yeah, they're being used in that right now. They're a crew that's against the Krakoa and the planet, and they're kind of going after the X-Men and all the mutants and stuff like that for what they're doing and stuff like that.
Yeah, because they feel that Krakoa is theirs because Krakoa is a living plant.
Well, not only that, they end up in Krakoa, the mutants end up creating these 3 pills. And one of the pills can grant you like the best health you've ever had or whatever.
Yeah, it's a cure-all. It's an essential cure-all. Like it's the cure for everything.
They're trying to sell it to all these different market areas and stuff like that. And they're almost taking business from the plant people who are making like medicines and things like that that they're selling to get their shit going on. It's a very, very weird story. Everybody's more about economy than they are about being superheroes and supervillains.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's politics, man.
But yeah, dude, it's super crazy. But it did give you the option to have that opportunity where you have two characters like Wiccan, who comes from the Vision of Scarlet Witch, whose soul was given to him by Mephisto and all this other stuff, who became like a huge magic user in the story.
Yeah.
Like he's huge, dude, huge. And then he marries Wiccan or Hulkling.
He marries Hulkling. And he marries Hulkling in the Empire story.
Yeah, in the Empire storyline. And it's beautiful, man. It's a great story. It's very cool. They had been dating for a long time in the comic book line. So to see them get married in the comic books was very cool and interesting. I do believe that the characters had enough growth to make fans happy with the wedding. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that's cool. That's probably one of the most interesting turning point weddings in the last couple of years, which would have been North Star and Kyle into Wiccan and Hulkling. Yeah. Those two kind of play together. Now, the next 4 weddings are probably the most influential, inspiring.
And I feel so bad for not remembering the 4th one, because it just plays into how forgetful this person is. Yeah. Yeah, I know. When you mentioned it, I was like, I totally forgot about that wedding, because it makes so much sense that people forget about this guy.
But I do want to do some honorable mentions. Okay, so one of my honorable mentions would have to be, I was just thinking about this off the top of my head right now when we were thinking about it. Deadpool, when he married the Queen of the Undead. Not Death, not Lady Death, but the lady who's married to Dracula. He married Dracula's wife. That was an interesting story. That was really funny for a moment. He got married to her. And I want to say that there's one more. Oh, as a matter of fact, indeed, this one. Batman and Selena Kyle.
I can't even consider that a wedding. That's her leaving him at the altar.
Yeah, I want to say that was something that I wanted to talk about. But yeah, man, she did dick him really bad. So, but I know that eventually they probably are going to get married or have been or whatnot. I really haven't kept up with it. But yeah, I wanted to say that was an honorable mention. So if we have any of our Batman fans about to kick in and be like, what about Batman and Catwoman? Yeah, that's an honorable mention. I couldn't think of any anime or video game weddings that were important. You know that?
I mean, the only, like, for me, like, big wedding that, or I'm not going to say big wedding, but anime wedding for me that, like, really kind of hit home was the Naruto and Hinata wedding and the Meliodas and Elizabeth wedding.
Okay. That was really, really cool. Yeah, you're talking about
Cyclops and Madeline Pryor. That one was a controversial one.
Why?
Because Madeline Pryor is the clone of Jean Grey.
Jean Grey.
You know, one of like the bajillion fucking clones of her.
Yo, you know what? That just reminded me. What about, there's 2 of them right off of this one. The marriage of Star-Lord and Kitty Pryde and Colossus and Kitty Pryde.
I liked the Colossus and Kitty Pryde one because of what happens in Age of Apocalypse.
And you know what? I like the Guardians one. I like a Star-Lord in Kitty Pryde.
Well, yeah, because it's so like
random, dude.
Yeah, like so no one saw that. Or you know what? Let me throw this one at you. Rogue and Magneto.
Yep. Age of what is that?
Age of Apocalypse.
Age of Apocalypse, dude. Holy balls, dude. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. That was the weirdest.
Yeah.
But do you think that they ended up doing that strictly on the idea on trying to stay alive and that Rogue was like the strongest of the X-Men physically?
Yeah. That's why I was like, I don't even know how they procreated, but they did.
And of course, honorable mention. The one that's most popular right now that everyone's been talking about because it's on the show, Wanda and Vision. Yeah, which you'd have to be a very, very hardcore fan of both of them to know about the wedding. Other than the new iterations that's been written about and stuff like that. Other than that, it falls very thin. It's a weird storyline nonetheless, but it's making for great television. making for great television. So we're going to start talking about the last 4 that are the most influential storylines, weddings that have been done in comic book history. I am going to go with probably the most easiest, innocent wedding that has ever been done in comic books, which everybody growing up reading comic books kind of wanted and needed this to happen because it's what we all expected. Superman and Lois.
Yeah, that one was like
that one right out of the park.
God, about fucking time. You know, it was one of those finally moments.
Yeah. We have a question. Sal Segudo asks. Also, Rogue is married to Gambit, I believe. If they did, there was probably like a shotgun wedding, knowing those two. I'm gonna say it was one of those like, hey, Clary, let's get married in the back of a bush or something. Let's get married in the back of a bus station or something.
Yes, they are married.
Yeah, but it had to be super, super weird.
Yeah, I didn't even read this.
Huh?
I didn't even read this.
Yeah, I mean,
when the fuck did this happen?
I mean, it's like I said, it's the way the characters are both written out. It's not a traditional wedding.
X-Men Gold number 30. There's an X-Men Gold. What?
Yeah.
Whatever, dude. They're married. Fuck it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like Audrey said, that's her dream cosplay. But the love story of Rogue and Gambit, like you can only go so far with it until it starts to reach its weird limits, and they just end up being like an Alabama couple, like talking about eating squirrels and hunting geese and shit like that, like real weird shit.
Well, they're both from the South.
Yeah, both the Bayou. They're both the Bayou people.
Yeah, one's French Canadian, the other one, French, Cajun. Like, the other one's just, a dirty old hick.
They're gonna be like swamp people, dude, but they're gonna make a reality show about their wedding.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Wives of the Swamp People or something? And then just Rogue and Gambit. Okay, so the next 3 are going to be very important to the growth of the comic book arc industry events or what. These are more events rather than just weddings. These 3 are very, very important in the comic book industry. And these are the ones that a lot of people kind of know about who even don't read comics. They just know that these are the ones that are most important. My first one is probably going to be the most interesting one, which is the one you kind of forgot about, but it's about a very, very big character who really shaped.
Yeah, I know, and that's why, like, when you said that, I was like, yeah, dude, and I totally forgot about this wedding because everyone forgets about this single character.
Yeah, and it's going to be the Flash when he married Iris West.
Yep.
Now
the Flash Wally West when he marries.
The reason why I think
not Iris. Sorry,
it's yeah. You're talking about when the Wally married the Asian girl.
Yeah.
No. But I'm talking about Barry Allen when he marries Iris West.
Yeah.
Now, what makes this such a weird story, and this is why I believe it, is because of how much time travel is because of the families. Like when it comes to like when they have kids and they take them to the 22nd century and he hides Iris West in the 15th century or the 20th century. And it's a constant movement of family members that they never get the opportunity to sit still and have a normal family. And I think that's what makes, what's his name? What's the older one guy's name? Jay Garrett?
Yeah.
I think that's what makes him and his wife so important. Is because they never had a wedding in the comic books. You just knew them as the older grandparents. But they were always so grounded in where they were out of all the other families. Like Triggs, like in this Flash universe, when it comes to Wally West and Bart and Barry Allen, how many comic book arcs do you remember that their families were on the timeline that he was running? That he was in the regular timeline? That the families were there, not separated because of safety.
Never anymore.
You know what I mean? Like I just can't remember.
Because they're always displaced in some.
They're always displaced in the timeline.
Yeah,
and I think
they have to be for like safety reasons, which is so shitty. Yeah, and that's why I'm kind of just like, oh, dude. I mean, even I draw a blank to that. Like, I mean,
And what's crazy, it was a very crazy wedding too, because originally Iris West was supposed to marry Zoom, and Barry Allen goes in and grabs Zoom from the aisle in his Flash suit and runs him out, and Iris West doesn't even know he's the Flash yet. So like he put a stop to their wedding first as the Flash, and then later on, of course, he marries Iris West. But it's such an interesting wedding because there was one thing that had been written a while back that I think Wally tells his wife that she's his lightning rod. Like she's the thing that keeps him grounded to reality the most. Like she's the beacon to where he needs to go home and relax. And I think that was such an interesting way for them to use the powers and the idea of them like making love make sense to a hero. You know, do you remember that or no?
Yeah, because I mean, he always called her his lightning rod because, you know, obviously his powers, but, you know, like kind of like what you were saying, but it's more on the fact that she's like he's where she goes, like she is where he goes to slow down.
Yeah, she's the comfort.
Yeah, and you know, like she's the ground for him, and you know,
right?
Especially with somebody who moves as fast as he does, you know, eventually you got to slow down, right? And when you slow down, where are you going to go? Home, you know. And
a beautiful way to write it.
Yeah, and you know, especially in DC, you know, DC has always been about the feels. It's always been about the feels, and you know, Marvel has always been about the world around us. Mm-hmm. You know, that's kind of why I love DC and Marvel for you know their individualities. You look at Marvel and you see yourself. You look at DC and you see what you want to become. You know, it's those two dichotomies of storytelling that you always try and appreciate. And when it comes to the Flash, because that guy has been shit on, that character in its entirety has been shit on more than any other fucking comic book character that I can think of. Yep. And that's why, like, you know, when it comes to Iris West, you know, she's his lightning rod. She is where he goes to slow down. Mm-hmm. And when he has to put her away, essentially, or, you know, keep her away from himself, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, like he has to keep moving, and it's something that he doesn't always want to have to keep doing. You know, he wants to slow down.
And it never fails that when the girlfriends are in the story and they're like the major plot of him saving, like they go like far and beyond for their loved ones. They will break all the rules. It's like the Mandalorian thing where they talk about the helmet.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, even like the idea of what was going on with dark death metal.
Yeah.
With death metal with Wally West with the children.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's always trying to figure out how to save the multiverse where his children are in. I think that was even a purpose. Like he forgot that he had children in the beginning of the story.
That was the thing, you know, I
don't
know if that was death metal. I want to say that was Doomsday Clock.
Yeah, there you go. The Doomsday Watchmen story, the Doomsday Clock.
Yeah,
he was totally erased from the timeline
because everyone forgot about Wally,
mm-hmm.
and then Wally finds out. Starts to remember. And then like Wally has kids,
mm-hmm.
but I don't think his family remembers him.
No,
but
because
he remembers his family.
He ends up. I remember that right after Barry Allen sees him for the first time, and Wally's like, "Don't you remember me? It's me, Wally." And the Flash is like, "What the hell? Did you get away from me, you freak, or whatever?"
Yeah, but
and
like that next issue, he comes back again. And he's like, "Do you remember me?" And he was like, "How could I forget you?" You know. And then he
oh, dude, that was such a heartbreaking story. That was so beautiful for them to bring Wally West in that way. Then they hug, and then he leaves to try to go find his wife. Wally West finds his wife, which is the Asian girl. I forgot off the top of my head. You gotta look up her name.
Yeah.
He goes to her, and she's 100% forgot who he was.
Yeah, and the kids, Linda Parker.
Linda, right?
Yeah, Linda Parker.
Linda Parker. Like I do remember he goes to her. I think it's her by herself though, when he shows up to her the first time. And he's like, "Linda, remember me?" or something like that. And he's just like a ghost or something. And then all of a sudden, like he disappears, and she was like, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah, dude. And she's like, "Nah."
It's such a sad story because if you're a reader of the comic books, then you remember that Wally.
Dude, and that always happens, dude. He always has to go back or like find Linda and the kids. And then they're like, "Huh?"
Yeah, the lightning rod, but that's the lightning rod idea. That no matter what, and I think it was a great introduction again for his character back into the Marvel DC universe landscape.
I agree.
Yeah, so it really plays on the factor of the wedding between both of them and who they are to that character. Even though like Iris West and Linda do not have powers, like how important of a role just like Lois Lane was to Superman. But then again, like Superman really doesn't need a um a lightning rod.
Yeah, because he always saves the day. That's the
But yeah,
shitty
he
part
always
about.
does, no matter what. But
Yeah.
he has a purpose. Like he has a purpose, and Lois Lane is his purpose. Even though I feel like sometimes Lois Lane abuses that power, knowing that she has like the strongest person in the universe, like to back her up with shit.
Dude, for real.
Yeah, I feel like she would just fall off a building and just be like, "Yo, Clark, where you at?" Like, yeah, she has no
And he
fear.
knows what, and he knows which, because he hears every heartbeat on the planet, and he knows exactly which one is Bruce's and which one is hers.
Yeah, it's so crazy, but it's interesting nonetheless. Yeah. So we are going to be venturing into our last two most important weddings and influential. Wouldn't you though? I mean, would I neo out to save Trinity with the bullet to the heart? I mean, I think anybody would, unless you're like a sadistic fuck. Yeah, just to go around and just do things. That's always been one of those things. Like, what would you do if you had secret powers, or if you had any type of superpower? Like, it's always been a great conversation piece to have as an icebreaker with friends and talking comics. But yeah, I'd probably do the same thing, Kyle. That's absolutely correct. But going off to our last two, they are in the same universe, and they are probably, if not the most important weddings in the Marvel universe. And that would be number, I don't know what number we're on, but the semifinals would be T'Challa and Storm. I think that was probably one of the coolest. Like, man, if you're looking for like cool points, like the fashion sense of the era, I think T'Challa and Storm's wedding.
Drip, dude.
Yeah, dripping gold
Yeah, dude.
vibranium all
They
over.
better be calling him Ranch from now on, because homeboy be dressing.
Drip, and it was so beautiful, man.
Yeah, and dude, and Storm, huh.
Gorgeous, dude, gorgeous. If you read comic books, you know Storm's like the hottest lady. On the planet. Yeah, man, she's the hottest lady on the planet. Yeah, and it just so happens the Black Panther and Storm get married, which brought together the Wakanda nation and the X-Men in a way. But of course, it kind of brought together more of Storm's tribe that she was a part of, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that was even the story behind it, was that they were trying to join their tribes together. And that since Storm was like, I don't want to say she was the queen or the princess, but I guess she was the queen at the moment.
She was, I want to say she actually is of royalty, but she was revered as a goddess of her tribe because of her powers. So either way, she was kind of elevated to like nobility anyway, or royalty anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So like it fit.
Yeah, it fit very well. Yeah, and then of course you have T'Challa, the king of Wakanda, and their culture, even though it's very conservative, they do offer help to the neighboring nations that are around them, especially neighboring countrysidesmen. And it just so happened in one of the stories, they brought together the most influential Black characters in Marvel history. And boy, was it beautiful. It was so out of left field at first, but it worked very, very well. And then, of course, if you know Storm as a character, you know how loyal of a person she is to just her friends, much less the men she's married to.
Yeah, dude.
Because it wasn't very long after the marriage of T'Challa and Storm that T'Challa's character in the comic book passes away. He then dies. And then this is where Shuri ends up coming up. Shuri ends up coming up and becoming the queen of Wakanda, which then makes her the Black Panther. And there's a good comic book run of her, being the queen. But during that time, Storm is going around trying to find a way to bring T'Challa back to the living, because he then becomes the king of the Necro.
The king of the dead, essentially.
King of the dead.
Yeah, so, because he travels to the necropolis. So like the Wakandan necropolis, and Bast, the Panther goddess Bast, tells him that there can only be one Black Panther, one king of Wakanda. Mm-hmm. And so she was like, so Shuri's already tested herself, and she has become successful. She is a rightful Black Panther. I cannot make you the king of of Wakanda anymore, but I can give you your powers, but you will not be the king of Wakanda. You in turn will be the king of the dead.
Yeah. And then Storm, I'm guessing that she goes to Brother Voodoo. That's my guess. That's my theory.
And I think he was like the most recent Sorcerer Supreme, because it's not Doctor Strange anymore.
Yeah, I would actually no. I don't.
Contrary to popular belief, that no, he is not Sorcerer Supreme anymore.
I don't know if he's the Sorcerer Supreme anymore, because I know it jumped. Like I know Loki was actually a Sorcerer Supreme for a bit too.
Yeah,
and Brother Voodoo was, and then I don't know if it went back to Doctor Strange. Fuck, it might be Doom with the way they're writing shit right now. Yeah, Trigger's gonna look this up right now, because I don't know right now. I don't know who the Sorcerer Supreme is right now in the world. But yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that Storm and T'Challa getting married was the resolve of the nation of bringing tribes together in that culture area that they live in. And that's what I think that it was, is they were trying to marry the cultures together, and it ended up being really successful. It was actually one of the most like juiciest couples in Marvel history. Like people were like in love with that, even to now, being the success of the Black Panther movie. I know I was reading online that people were actually hoping that Black Panther 2, of course, this is when before the terrible passing of Chadwick Boseman, that they were hoping that they were going to introduce the X-Men and Storm through having her be a tribe that T'Challa was going to get married to. Since the idea in the first movie was him being very close to Okoye, not Okoye, what was the other girl's name? Nafidi, the girl that he was really close to.
Wait, who?
Yeah, Black Panther, T'Challa in the first movie. Something with an N. Okoye was
general.
The general, but the other girl, the one that was like the secret soldier that was out all the time. Nettie or something, Nitty or something like that.
I'm looking it up. 1 second.
Mm-hmm. So it might be Neji.
Nakia.
Oh, you see, I was close. I knew it was an N. I just could not remember the last 4 letters. Yeah. But yeah, like a lot of people were hoping that they were going to introduce the X-Men and the Marvel and the X-Men, like the mutant classifications through that story, which I think the mutants are going to be introduced sooner than later. Like actually really, really soon with what's going on in the Disney Plus series. But yeah, man, Storm and T'Challa's wedding was a very beautiful wedding. They did very well. I hope in some way. Neji's like, yeah, I know, Kyle. And Neji's like, yo, Neji's that kid from Naruto. Yeah, the one that goes and does like a million slap defensive skills and shit, just slapping dudes in a circle.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, I just knew it was something with an N. I just knew it was something with an N, but I couldn't get it. But yeah, man, it was a very beautiful wedding. Like I said, much recommended. If you can get to the arc of the wedding of Storm and T'Challa, I recommend it in the Marvel universe. Go check it out. It's beautiful. But now we're going to jump into the most influential, probably the most important wedding that has ever happened. Shit, I want to even say in comic book history.
Well, the reason that I really wanted the T'Challa and Storm wedding was because of what happened in Avengers versus X-Men. That Wakanda was the neutral ground for the two parties, and that created a rift in their marriage.
Yeah,
which
I remember that.
which he then annulled anyway, like 5 years later,
Mhm.
because he's the fucking king, and I guess he can do that.
Yeah, I mean, but it's
So
did
they
he
were
divorce
divorced.
because-
So they became divorced because of the Avengers versus X-Men storyline that
Mhm.
created a rift in what they should do, and when it came time to when each should go their separate way, as much as they wanted to remain neutral, T'Challa has been an Avenger for so long, and obviously Storm has been an X-Men for as long as she has. Being not a founding member, but one of the longest running members in X-Men history. So that's why I'm kind of just like, okay, like that. Like when I remember reading that, and I was kind of like, this is going to end bad for
But dude, it was one of those things like when it comes to Avengers work, T'Challa usually stays out of their stupid shit. And that was the concept. Like the Avengers versus X-Men was a stupid ass comic book for them to get involved in. But of course, Storm, like I said, she's very loyal.
yeah to the
Very
X,
loyal to her.
and that's why like that's why I kind of saw this coming. Like when Cyclops and Captain America met, at in Wakanda, it was kind of one of those things like, dude, this is gonna end bad.
And of course, that's when Cyclops was already the dick. That's when he was already being an asshole. Cyclops turned into a huge asshole in those terms.
And he did not stop either.
Yeah, he turned into a huge douche during that time. But yeah, like we said, if you guys have an opportunity, make sure you guys look up Storm and T'Challa's wedding. Before and after, of course, try to get to about 3 or 4 comic books prior to the wedding, and of course, a couple of them after, so you can see where the story devolves and develops. The last one is going to be probably, like I said, one of the most influential weddings when it comes to comic book history. This is throughout comic books. This is Marvel, DC, Image, you name it. This is probably one of the most talked about weddings. This
Ever.
is the fucking what's that
The
TV
wedding,
show?
dude.
TMZ. This is that TMZ wedding that all the celebrities want to be at. That
Everybody was at.
Everybody wanted to be there. In fact, I wouldn't doubt it that if you read the comic book and you go back and look in the background, there's probably characters from DC drawn in really weird and like risque in the back of the crowd and stuff in the wedding. I wouldn't doubt it, dude. I literally wouldn't doubt it. That'd be so funny, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, dude, for sure.
But then that was the same thing I had when Superman died and they were carrying the casket. I remember I was scouring the crowd of the cover because I swear to God they were going to put in Captain America, Wolverine, the guys from the X-Men. I swear Marvel was going to put in stuff because it was such an event.
Big comic book death ever.
Yeah. It was the craziest death. That was like Captain America's death. Like there's so we should cover those
comic book deaths.
Yeah, comic book deaths one day. We should. Of course, not in respect or celebrating anything in general, but like we are now. But of course, we should talk about it maybe like based on something that like this conversation we're having. And I think it's just something cool, like maybe the top 10 deaths in comic book history. But going back, I do digress. Let's go back and let's head up for the most influential comic book TMZ style wedding that everybody wanted to be at. Reed Richards and Sue Storm's wedding of the Fantastic Four. The reason why I believe that this was the most important wedding was because of the family of the Fantastic Four finally like locking it down. Like originally the Fantastic Four, being that they're the first family of comic books, they were actually a crew of space aviators, I guess you could say, space pilots. And they were going on a mission. They all got hit with a cosmic ray of light, and they all established to have superpowers. They came back to Earth. They isolated themselves. They started stopping events from happening together as a team, and they developed a really, really great squad. And in that, throughout all the comic books in history that they started off in, the two main characters, Reed and Sue, slowly developed a love interest between each other, and it ended up conspiring into probably one of the best weddings in, like I said, comic book history.
And one of the first, dude. I mean, this was in 1965.
Mm-hmm. Everybody wanted it to happen. Everybody's waiting for it. Shit, if I'm not mistaken, it's probably like the first wedding that ever happened in comic book history in general in the Marvel universe.
Probably,
Yeah.
honestly. I mean, this is during the heyday of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and Mike Esposito and stuff like that, like the greats of the Marvels, and so like when you saw that, or like, the people, I know that no one's fucking watching who was alive during that time to get, to read it. But, when you actually read that comic, there's so much shit going on. And then when the wedding finally does happen, it's like the peacetime of everything.
Oh yeah, didn't there like shit get attacked by like Doctor Doom and like
the cover issue is amazing, and this is like A1 Stan Lee. I'm gonna write every single word in the same letter, or starting with the same letter, because like it reads. Sensational, the wedding of Sue and Reed, featuring the world's most colossal collection of costume characters crazily cavorting and capering in continual combat.
Oh, Stan, dude, that
is Stan Lee A1 shit right there.
God, I love Stan Lee so much.
Single letter for every single name.
Such a cute guy, man.
Yeah,
such a fucking
dude. Long live the Lord and Savior.
Yep. Oh yeah, actually, Sal, you probably jumped in a little late, but we did mention Spider-Man Mary Jane's wedding and how it went into one more day. We talked about the Mephisto take, but yeah, you got it.
I was one of the first, homie.
Coming in late, buddy. But yeah, dude, straight up, I think that's why they ended up being known as the first family.
Yeah,
that's when they tied the knot.
It was the first superhero family, and like that just goes into like, because like after that, that's when like the huge like bring-ins for like the huge introductions for certain characters that would happen.
That introduced the Vision and WandaVision's wedding.
Yeah,
it was literally almost in the same aspect. Of course, it was done in such a weirder way. But it still brought in that idea that comic book characters can get married. They can do marriages and they can work that into the storyline in some way. So I'll hit that one with a yay. I'll hit that one with a wow, because that was really, really impressive, dude. Like, I mean, can you imagine how?
And they're still going strong. Fucking like 40 something years later.
And they have 2 children.
Yeah,
and they get in arguments with their kids real bad. X of Swords. They really had at it when they tried to take what's his name, Franklin?
Yeah, Franklin out of the X-Men.
Yeah, and
like, no, I'm a mutant. And then you find out that he's actually not.
Oh no, it's cool. I changed your DNA so that way you couldn't get into the fucking portals that go to Krakoa.
Yeah, and they're like,
you're fucked up, dad, dude.
Yeah. And like that's the fucked up thing. They were like, "Yeah, no, you were actually never a mutant." They were like, he was like, "What do you mean I was never a mutant? I'm a mutant." He was like, and they're like, "No, like your powers made you a mutant. You were never born a mutant. You were just born a mutant." That was like essentially what they told him. They were like, "You're just born weird."
Yeah,
I was like, "Dude, what the actual fuck, man?
Crazy. Dude.
How are you gonna tell a 16-year-old this?"
Yeah, breaking his fucking heart.
Yeah, dude, you guys are supposed to be so inclusive, and then you tell a guy to go away because he's weird.
It was so bad. But then again, I think the only person that reached out to him in such a great way was Kitty Pryde.
Yeah, dude, because she's like the new den mother of like the X-Men.
Yeah, dude, you know what? She's actually grown to be a very, very awesome character in the last couple.
I know. Even Saul was like, "Oh, dude, when they made Franklin not a mutant, that was like the dumbest shit ever." Because on more than one occasion has Franklin been identified as a mutant. I mean, the Sentinels were the first people, so was the first thing to identify him as. That's how you knew definitively that he was a mutant. They were like, "Oh, Franklin Richards, Omega level mutant." He was actually the first Omega level mutant to ever be identified. And so then that's why like everyone was like, "What? How are you not making him a mutant? That's bullshit. He's been a mutant for like 30 years."
But I want to say that the reason why they were saying that is because he ended up losing his powers. Wasn't he like dealing with like power loss or something?
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, so he had his power loss, and then Spider-Man found a way to give him his powers back. And then through that, the X-Men were like, okay, but powers don't go away like that.
Yeah.
Like our powers left because someone took them.
Yeah.
Your powers left because X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, because of
But
things.
you were born with the X mutant gene. You gave yourself that gene because that's what you can do. You can alter reality. Because
I want to say like
so much
way,
giving himself that X mutant gene.
Yeah. Like,
And
but
so
I want to say in like a weird way, like it's kind of smart thinking with the way that they're writing that because of how intricate the X-Men have been about like DNA and mutant strands.
Exactly. That's why like I didn't gripe
really
about it too much.
It's not like a bad idea.
Like that they did it though.
Yeah. Because I do you remember Braddock's sister? The one when they put her through the fucking that fucking sword fight with Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Like that moment, they don't respect her as a mutant. Like even Apocalypse is like, yo, dude, like you're garbage. Do you want to be one of us again, or do you want to stay a piece of shit? And he literally talks so much mad shit to her to get her so mad, so that she could kill herself on his sword to bring her back as a mutant. But like he needed her to
accept that. Like,
yeah, be like a martyr for the vibe
well,
of being
I'm not gonna say martyr. It was kind of one of those things. He's like he ultimately gave her a decision. He was like, either I kill you now and you rise again as as a true mutant, or you die now shameful.
Yeah, it was so hardcore.
And so that's when she like rose her sword, and he was like, and you've chosen well. Crap.
Yeah, but it's very cult-esque, like knowing that he kind of like fixated her mind into being like a diehard mutant fanatic.
Yeah. Well, in Krakoa, with what they've gone through, you kind of need it. Yeah, like I understand why they did it.
Billion, man. That's what Nightcrawler ended up making a whole religion. Is he right?
Yeah.
I want to say he just recently created a religion in Krakoa about mutants. And it was like at a temple or some shit. Nightcrawler, I mean, dude, the writing for X-Men, dude, we totally have to have an episode about it. Dude, bro. That would be such a great, fun episode. But yeah, going back. So a lot of stuff happened during the wedding of Sue Richards and Reed Richards. Well, Sue Storm and Reed Richards. Dr. Doom, of course, had a super crazy love interest when it came to Sue Storm. Loved her in college, and he hates Reed Richards because of the fact that Dr. Doom never loses. Never. And the only man that he's lost to is Reed Richards. And I think that this goes back, and it was explained even stronger in Secret Wars or Battle World. At the ending of Battle World, when he has to fist fight Reed Richards with his normal powers, with Renfrew Owen Reese, and he's like, I hate you because you are always right. Like, I hate you because you were always the better choice.
Well, I think what was even like, I think what hit home a little bit harder with that was he was like, dude, like you've always been so fixated on the fact that you could do better. But given what's happened, do you really think that you did better? And he was like, you know what, Reed, fine, I'll say it. If the tables were turned, yeah, I think you could have done better than me.
Oh, that is so good writing.
And he admits it to himself, and then that's when the molecular, and that's when Molecule Man is like, "That's it. There you got it. That now all your powers are his."
But then, even through all the evils that Dr. Doom did and how he ran everything like this weird God King, Reed Richards brought him back and made him normal again. Took away all the scars that he hated about himself that made him different. And then you had this really great build on Dr. Doom.
And then he became
Iron Man.
Yeah, then he became Iron Man, but like his name for Iron Man was dude. What is it? Infamous Iron Man.
Yeah, dude. Well, it's because everybody knew him as Dr. Doom. And there he was raring on some Stark tech. He was literally using Stark tech technology to have this suit, and he was still wearing his green cloak, and he was still using magic in the process of it.
Yeah.
But he became Iron Man when they were trying to bastardly sell Ironheart, which was a horrible storyline.
Not just that, but it was also in the lieu of Tony Stark dying.
Which one?
It was also in the lieu of Tony Stark dying.
No, Tony Stark already died. Civil War.
Yeah, I know. But when he came back, Iron Man was back. But then Iron Man died in Civil War, and then that's when like infamous Iron Man was solidified.
Yeah, because he was more. They needed an Iron Man.
Yeah,
the world needed an Iron Man. But that's the problem that Marvel made, is that they decided to make Doom into Iron Man, who's a marvelous character and has had more story development. And then they tried to make this 13-year-old kid, Riri Williams, into Ironheart, and no one read her shit.
Yeah, and no one still doesn't read her shit. I have yet to read anything about Riri Williams, and not on principle. I have absolutely she has no appeal to me whatsoever.
And this is, you know what? This is the weird conversation, because I got in an argument with some people earlier because someone had put in a group chat that I follow, that was like, oh my God, the Eternals is so amazing. I can't believe they're making it. I can't wait. I've loved them for so long. And I was like, the movie quote that no one asked for. Like no one.
Okay, I could give Eternals a movie. Sure. The one that I cannot refuse to, Shang-Chi.
Oh, dude, Shang-Chi, fuck Shang-Chi, dude.
I like when they were like, oh, Shang-Chi, phase 5. I'm like, no one fucking cares.
What the fuck are they talking about? What? Yeah, dude. Did they read a comic book I've never heard of or some shit? Like what? Like, dude, I'm telling you, like, people, they're okay. So don't get us wrong. Marvel, the MCU, could do no wrong at making films. Right now, they can make a shit movie and it would still topple the DC universe. Like, the thing is their attempts at making characters are against popular ones. Okay, Triggs, here's one for you. If you had the opportunity to be asked by Kevin Feige or any of those guys to make a Marvel movie, who would you want to make a movie about?
Who?
Yeah. Off the top of your head, who would you want to make a movie that hasn't been done?
That has not been done?
That has not been done.
Nova.
Okay. Understandable. Under-fucking-standable. Which one? Probably Richard Rider.
Yeah, Richard Rider, the original. Especially since right now, what's happened in the MCU, I think it would be a great addition and a huge slap in the face for them not to do it. As a matter of fact, he was supposed to be in Endgame, and he was supposed to have a cameo in Infinity War, but they scrapped that idea for some fucking stupid reason. And but yeah, he was supposed to make like an official arrival in Endgame because of, you know, what Thanos did to Xandar.
Okay. That's understandable. Anybody else in the comments, I want you to give me any of your choices for any character that has not been put in the Marvel universe. What would be your choice of the next comic book character that Marvel should choose based on popularity? That's your question for the comment section. Mine would have to be, I think, either Blue Marvel or the Sentry.
I would rather see the Sentry.
Yeah. You see, but I think, me personally, I would rather see Blue Marvel.
Yeah, and right now with like what's going on in like the BLM movement and stuff like that, sure, I think it'd be a great, a great addition to it, and like
representation, right?
Yeah.
So right now you're about to have the Falcon come out and be the new Captain America, only to be encouraged by the first black man who saved a president back in the 50s. That has
he couldn't be a superhero anymore because he was black.
Yeah, because the government paid him off because he was black. Okay, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me, Sal.
I saw that and I was like, ooh. This is stirring the pot there, guy.
Literally, I could turn my camera around. Hyperion's looking at me on my computer screen right now. But I have to, a Spider-Ham, Sal, come on. Well, he's already in the Spider-Verse. But okay, so the reason why I would choose Blue Marvel over Hyperion is because there is a rich history of Blue Marvel in the comic books, where Hyperion does, but he's very underutilized in an arc yet. But Blue Marvel has a rich history, and they have an interesting story that would work right now because of the movement that they're trying to push, which is you have a black superhero who has an enormous amount of power, who saved the president in the 50s during the civil rights movement, and then was given a lot of money to go into hiding, which he ended up doing, and then coming back later in the future, which he should have stood up for himself. Like, that would have been the idea, was to stand up. That would be a great history. But I believe like the idea of them bringing out Riri Williams, Kate Bishop, like them trying to force all of these weird young characters in, I believe there's stronger character arcs that they could be pushing on that have that. You see, even Sal right there. Good call. Oh, down for a Blue Marvel movie. Blue Marvel would, and then not only that, DC has had a lot of opportunities for them to get Superman right. They had a lot of opportunities. So what would it be if Marvel came in and did Superman right, and it being an African-American superhero? That would be historical, bro. Okay. Dude, we're going to talk about that right now, Myers. We're going to talk
wait.
about
Cannot wait.
bet, bro. Bet we're going to talk about that. But yeah, that would be my call. That would be my call. My call would be Blue Marvel, where yours was, what was yours, Triggs?
Nova,
right? I mean, the reason why Nova's super rich due to the Marvel Universe. In the cosmic story, Guardians of the Galaxy, I mean,
that's where they're going anyway. Like, they're literally heading in, like, they're literally going in that direction anyway. I really think that, like, Nova very well could be, like, one of the newer ones. And the fact that they're not including him, probably not for, like, another 4 years, is absolute bullshit.
Definitely. Where is our Hispanic or Mexican heroes? We really need one, a legit one. That's a really, really good call.
You know, people always want to say Robbie Reyes, and you know, granted, like he's now starting to get a little bit more traction in Marvel, and fucking great on Marvel for doing it, because now like Johnny Blaze is pretty much non-existent.
Yeah,
and
there's also Blue Beetle.
Yeah, but granted, he's DC.
The problem with that, Sal, is us all being Hispanic individuals. I would want Marvel to take the time to create a character and build on them, not fucking shove it in our faces. Like me, myself, I would be happy if they, you know what? As a matter of fact, when they did Marvel Now, this was 2 years ago, they introduced a Hispanic character. I think she was Colombian, and they called her the Red Lotus. You can look her up. She came out real fast. And she was dressed in like a beetle outfit, looking like Chispiritu. And she was super fucking fast. I want to say Red Locust or Red Lotus. Let me know when you find it, Triggs, if you find it.
Well, Red Lotus was a dude.
Okay, so it had to be Red Locust. I might have to look this up with you, dude.
Fernando Rodriguez. Yeah. And she's called the Locust.
Yeah, the Locust. You guys can look her up, man. Super cute. Actually, I'll tell you what. Here she is. I will open this image up. Let me go. Open this image up. And I will share my.
She's the answer to Blue Beetle. I'm reading her right now. She's the answer to Blue Beetle.
I will literally share my screen with you right now. That's her right there.
She's the answer to Blue Beetle. Congrats.
She's speedy too. So that's what she looks like. Her character was super great, but it was only like one panel, and then I believe she came out in the Young Champions were real fast. And right there, they dropped a little hint that there's a Hispanic character. Let's build on that. I agree, but we should have one by now, maybe Aztec or Mayan warrior powered by the gods like Shazam. Actually, Triggs, you're gonna have to look this up too, but I believe there is a character that's an Aztec warrior or a Mayan warrior who is a Hispanic, well, not Hispanic, but Mayan nonetheless, in that power set that's from the old days of Marvel back in the 80s, 90s. He was part of the same crew that ran with Tomahawk. Was it like what was that guy's name? The one that's the strong guy, Warpath. Don't forget Warpath either, guys. Fuck, dude. From X Factor. Was that his name? Triggs?
Yes.
Yeah, dude. That guy's, if I'm not mistaken, he's Native American. He's a badass, dude. I mean, his name's fucking Warpath. He's got feathers and shit. There are characters are out there that do represent Bobby Acosta, dude. Sunspot. Still one of the highly used characters out of X-Force. He was in New Mutants. Warpath, you see? Sal knows. Warpath is awesome. Dude, that's absolutely correct, Kyle. We all would love to see Warpath. You know who I would actually love to see? Strongman. You remember Strongman from X Factor?
Well, Warpath was already in a movie, but he died real quick.
Yeah, he died super fast. Oh, yeah, that's right. They used him in Days of Future Past.
Yep.
Strongman. Do you remember Strongman?
Vaguely, but yes.
That was the dude that was like the Hulk size, and he had like little small glasses and a little blonde curl. And he was part of X-Force. I love that character growing up. But I've always been a fan of like these ginormous, like the hulking characters, like the Juggernaut kind. I've always been a huge fan of those kind of characters.
He's Swedish.
Huh?
He's Swedish.
Cheating?
No, he's Swedish.
He's oh the
Yes,
strongman?
he's from Stockholm.
Yeah, the strongman?
Yes, he's Bruce Olafsson.
Dude, he's fought the Hulk. He didn't win though.
Yeah, no one wins against the Hulk.
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, the thing
fucking media, dude.
The Hulk.
Yeah, also the Hulk.
Dude. In the comic book line, the Immortal Hulk, the Hulk just got the shit kicked out of him by Thing. But he's like child skinny.
Yeah, what they're doing with Immortal Hulk blows my mind. But whatever. Just
it's good though. But it's good though.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very weird. But you know what? That is the ideal representation of what comic books need, because you have the Hulk, and of course, all of us comic book readers know you can't beat the Hulk. But when you start taking those options away, that he's not as cool as he was, then you're kind of like, oh fuck, dude. Like, yeah. I think he didn't have heart problems, but I know when he pushed himself, it like burned too much calories or something, if I'm not mistaken. Or like he can absorb. No, that was Havoc. Havoc can absorb radiation.
Yeah,
radiation and use it. He used it against the Hulk once, but it was something that like his heart pumps too much, and it's not necessarily like he doesn't get heart attacks. But I think when he exerts himself too much as strongman, he then has problems and he gets fatigued very quick. Which he's still strong as fuck though. Still a great looking character. He looks like Johnny Bravo, dude. Like just a really ginormous version of him.
Yeah, except extra douchey.
Okay, so here we go. So guys, you got our list of all the coolest weddings that have been in Marvel and DC. What's been your favorite wedding that's ever happened in the Geek Nation? Now I'm talking about television shows. It could be animes. It could be comics. It could be video games for all we know. But what's been your favorite? I think one of them that's kind of underlooked, and I didn't look for this because I guess I really wasn't searching for it hard enough. It would have to be the God of War and Loki's mom.
Yeah, because they never show a wedding.
Yeah,
they just say that they were married.
She is like a giant, right?
Yeah, she was a giant.
Yeah, that's dude, super awesome, dude. I think that's probably one of the most underrated weddings. I think for any woman to take the hand of
the God of War.
What's his name? I can't fucking
Kratos.
I was thinking Kronos, but Kratos. Any woman that can keep that man in check, she's got to be a strong ass woman. It's got to be a strong ass woman. But yeah, guys, who's been your favorite wedding in comic book history, Marvel history, DC, video games, anime, television, sci-fi? What's been your favorite wedding? Oh my God, Mayers.
That was a good one, dude.
Don't do this to me. Oh no. He says one of the crazies was Aunt May and Doc Octopus's wedding. Yeah, even though it was kind of like known that Doc Ock was doing it to get to Peter Parker, or to at least get to Spider-Man, it was still a very interesting one. But you know what? On the tails of that one, Jonah Jameson and Aunt May. Jonah Jameson, when he got married to Aunt May, and he was actually a good man to her, like a good husband, like that. It was literally, to me, every time I would see that together, it would be the idea of, where did you get those pictures, Jonah Jameson? He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And when he saved Peter Parker's ass,
Yeah, dude.
yes, that moment. There have been so many moments where Joan Jameson would step in for Aunt May when danger would be present. And I love that he's such a good man, even though he's an asshole. But he's written that way, I think, for that purpose. But yeah, dude, that was good call. Even though it's such a weird one, but good call. We have to do a show on spawns, gods versus Satan. Ooh. Actually, you know what? That would not be a bad idea. We could do a spawn episode. Because
I
I
have
think,
to read up on my spawn again.
you know what? Because I have a feeling Spawn's going to play a major role in comic books coming up. Because
It's about time. It's about time that they brought him over to Marvel. To be honest,
yeah, I really, really think so. Even after Angelica's,
especially because of Angela.
Dude, I really, really think so. But not only that, like, there's a comic book line going on right now called Crossovers that references a lot of Spawn. Yeah. Which right now, if you ever wanted to see the Sentry versus Superman, you could see him stand off real quick, which is going to be great. It's going to be fucking fantastic, dude. It's going to be fucking great. But a lot of people believe the Black Winter to be a story surrounded by the cosmic religion that's based in Spawn with Malboja and all this other stuff. That those people that are the hands, like Perpetua from DC,
yeah,
are all up there on that pantheon with Malboja. So, like, it's very, very interesting. Because you know what? Like, I was thinking about this the other day. Because they just released, of course, the Black King, right? He's on Earth. He's doing a lot of fucked up stuff. Dylan just, like, squared off with him a couple of episodes. I mean, like, I think in this latest comic when Thor...
Yeah, well, the latest... It's not that he squared off with him. It's just that, like... It's just that Dylan kind of got a big head a little bit, and he was like, you know what? I'm going to bring him to me. Fuck this.
Oh, but not only that, bro.
And so he's starting to release a lot of the heroes who are still alive that are just being controlled by symbiotes. So he finally did that, and it was just like, and that's when Noah was like, I found you.
Yeah. But not only that, dude, like, I mean, his dad just passed, so he's super emotionally charged.
Yeah. And then on top of that, the Silver Surfer in black.
Dude, okay. I'm not going to lie. When the Silver Surfer showed up, I was like, oh, okay. That's cool, I guess. Because while I was reading the text, my mind automatically clicked that it was the fucking, what's his name? Dr. Manhattan.
Oh, I see why. But I didn't think that. I was trying to figure out who it was.
At the very beginning,
I see why you went there. I 100% see why you went there. But that's not where I went. I was like, who the fuck is this, dude?
I mean, because the
Silver finally came, I was like, oh, okay.
Like, I see. Would be like the choice. Because you know that he was infected by the Black King on that iteration when he was going all cosmic and going through time. He's still black in the future episode where Thanos wins. You know that he's the chosen with the hammer, and he's black also with his skin color is like a more darker tone because he's still imbued by the symbiote. But the writing of the text bubbles were all like a light blue with black.
Yeah,
in my mind, I
see why you were
like,
thinking.
We all know that there's supposed to be a crossover, like, and they have not touched based on anything of the crossover yet. Like, it was very and when the reveal happens and it's Silver Surfer, like, I was like, oh, dude, of course it's the Silver Surfer, because they had that conversation where Thor saw how everything was supposed to end, and after he was visited by the Hand or the Black Storm or whatnot, like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, the Silver Surfer already knew what was going to happen. That's why he shows up.
Yeah,
that was like Thor's ace in the hole kind of movement. You know what I mean? But dude, could you imagine if it was fucking Dr. Manhattan that showed up to fight Null?
Uh, yeah, but at the same time, I'm glad that they didn't because he's now a DC property.
But yeah, but we know that's why I'm saying like there's supposed to be a crossover.
Yeah, but I think that they're just gonna like limit it to that particular comic. You know how like certain crossovers never really like only stay within their like contained like stories.
Mhm. I mean, yeah, I mean that's why when it wasn't Doctor Manhattan, I was kind of like, whoa, that was interesting, interesting, and I was like, well, could it have been that? Because in Black Metal or Dark Metal, Batman and Wonder Woman are there fighting in the end, and they're talking about how he can see the hands coming, and he's the only thing that can stop him and whatnot. We all know that Doctor Manhattan himself was the one that rewrote the entire aspect of the universe, and Batman had to steal his powers to become this like godly entity to punch Perpetua in the mouth or whatever, and scratch her and do all this other stuff. So, what if this is just me saying what ifs? Like, what if Dr. Manhattan is still there and a version of himself was taken, but he's still watching all of this stuff unfold because the actual event hasn't happened?
I think it would have made the entire Doomsday Clock cheap.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it would. But
That's
like,
why, because like for one, Doomsday Clock was like a 2-year comic in
yeah,
the
but you can't tell me that the ending of the Batman Who Laughs taking Dr. Manhattan's power and becoming that crazy entity, like that didn't kind of kill it too.
You're not wrong. Yeah. I do think that 100% all of that was fucking stupid.
It was a little too much.
Stupid.
Yeah, it was a little too much.
I mean, bro, that cow has been milked for everything it is worth with the fucking Batman Who Laughs. I almost refuse to read anything that the Batman Who Laughs is in now.
The only reason why I would say and that my mind would go to Dr. Manhattan for that part is because that would be the cross intersection of the multiverse meeting one point in all the comic books recently.
Which I agree with, yeah. But that's why I say like big crossovers like that are only ever contained in that particular story.
Yeah, that's understandable. That's understandable. But it would have been cool.
It would have. Don't get me wrong, dude. I'd read the fuck out of that.
I would fucking. That would have been the first thing that came on the episode. I would have been like, dude.
Yeah.
Dude. But yeah. So yeah, guys, that was. I know we went on a tangent there at the end. That was our list for best weddings in comic book history. I hope you guys really, really dug it. Like I said, what was your guys' best weddings? If we didn't hit it, I know that we missed some characters, and I know we referenced some. There was also Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn. There was also, don't forget, Robin and Starfire. There was a bunch of weddings that have happened throughout all the years that we didn't cover. So make sure you guys let us know who you guys think. Now,
yeah, dude, there's there's fucking Black Canary and Oliver Queen.
Yeah, Oliver Queen. I mean, there's a bunch of like I said, a lot of people actually did love Colossal and Colossus and Kitty Pryde.
Yeah,
that was also another one. But digressing back, changing the subject, going into something different. Triggs, what was your reaction to the third episode of WandaVision?
I loved it, dude.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Now let's go ahead and talk about it without spoilers, and then we can go ahead and jump into a little bit of spoiler talk a little bit after. We'll give a little bit of a warning to those who want to stay behind. For now, I think it was cool. I think it was very similar to what we
theorized. I think the next big organization has finally been revealed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we knew.
Granted, yes, we already knew that they were there.
Yeah.
But for like the avid comic book readers, yeah, we already knew, right? Like we saw certain things, we saw like little like hints here and there and stuff like that. Everyone already knew. But for the people who don't know jack about Marvel Comics, they're like, well, what does this mean?
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing is like if they've never been a reader of the comic books, then it's very, very, very intriguing.
Thanks a lot, Saul.
What's up?
Be back.
Be back. Got to go watch it, guys. Great show. Thank you very much, Sal. Enjoy the show. I hope you have a good time. Yeah, but going back to the talks about WandaVision, like we did talk about this a little bit, and we theorized that it was going to be like I guess if you saw the first 2 episodes, you would say it's very Truman Show like, very Truman Show, very like that we feel like they're almost in a fish tank scenario, right? But I was very, very blown away by them revealing the city that it's in.
Yes.
The real close representation to and the knock to it being a very Pleasantville story arc. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen. Let me see if I could find a picture of it real quick, and I will share it with the chat. There was a story arc. There was a story arc that Marvel did a while back called Pleasantville. And in that one, Pleasantville. See if I can find an image. And I can't. Man, you might have to help me with this one. Yeah, Pleasantville. I don't know how to look this up. Triggs, you might have to help me out. There is a comic book cover of Pleasantville, which was a story arc that was going. Yeah, is that it? No. It's just that I cannot remember off the top of my head when it was. I believe it was right before or right at the heels of Civil War. It's when Captain America gets turned back into being young. And it was because of the Tesseract. Do you remember this?
Very, very, very vaguely.
Marvel introduces, let me see, Marvel, Steve Rogers, Hour back. This would have to be Pleasantville. You know what? Actually, this would have to be right before Captain Hydra. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, right before that, there is a huge. So S.H.I.E.L.D. sets up a city, and they use the Tesseract, which is now a little girl. Her name is Corbic.
Yeah.
She then changes reality for all these different supervillains in a city to make them be like they're in like a 1980s, 1950s kind of like Pleasantville city. They all have jobs. They all deliver milk. They make ice cream. They do all of this stuff. But it's all the villains of the Marvel universe. And I'm talking like Tundra, fucking the Changing Man or the Absorbing Man, like all of those dudes, including like Baron Zemo, including I think at the time, I want to say Red Skull was on his own trying to do his own thing. He was trying to start his own KKK cult or something like that, a Hydra cult. Yeah. It was really funny. It's really, really funny the way they wrote it out. But Baron Zemo and all of these guys are all stuck in this place, and it's run by S.H.I.E.L.D. Hill's running it. They invite Captain America, who's older already, and when he shows up there, he's like, "This is fucking inhumane. Like, how can you do this to these people? Like, this is wrong. There's so much wrong here, and this is all going to explode in your face." And she's like, "Dude, we've done everything for these people and nothing's working. At least," and then she says, "At least they're happy."
Yeah, but I remember Pleasantville being like in their heads, but they're all linked to each other. And if I remember correctly, that was done at the Raft.
No, it's a place.
Okay, because I remember something like that also happening at the Raft for Civil War.
I want to say like
no, yeah, you're right, because I think it's Venom who ends up finding out that things aren't right, and he's the like one of the first ones to like break out of the illusion or whatever. Yes, I remember what you're talking about now.
Yeah, it's Pleasantville, but this was an 1849 town. At the point the Telegraph reporter discovered gold in California. Okay, this one's really weird, and it's not the newer one, but this Pleasantville has been in other universes. Let's see. I want to, dude, and it's so close, man. But the idea was the way that the show shows you how it's in a city is very reminiscent to that comic line. So I want to say that they're getting references to Pleasantville for it on the way that they're controlling the people. I want to say, dude. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, it's with Corbic. Yeah, and it's super crazy because he meets Corbic in the city. The Cosmic Q Corbic, First Avengers, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Q Fragments, Order to Destroy. Name is Corbic, yeah. Pleasant Hill. Pleasant Hill is the name of this. Pleasant Hill. And the reason why it's called Pleasant Hill is because Maura Hill is in charge of it. That's like her prison. You know what I mean? And then, of course, I think it's like Baron Zemo is like one of the guys. They end up planning like a big coup. Crossbones is there. He's about to kill Captain America. And what happens is this character named Korbic, which is a little girl who is a living embodiment of the cosmic fragments, ends up coming to Captain America because she loves him so much. He's such a great guy. And she's like, hey, he's about to get killed by Crossbones. He's getting pummeled as an old man. And she's like, I can bring you back. Like, I can bring you back the way you were when you were perfect. And I can make you better. And Steve Rogers says yes, and he beats the shit out of Crossbones and saves the day as young Steve Rogers. But the problem is Korbic ends up bringing him back. Here it is right here. Watch. There he is, man. And a bowling alley. Just, yeah, it's good to be back, boys. She ends up bringing him back, but Korbic was raised by the Red Skull, so he brings him back perfect, but she believes Hydra to be the best thing that ever happened to the universe.
Yeah, so yeah, she brings it back as Captain Hydra.
Captain Hydra, dude.
Yeah, like all the memories that like everyone ever had of Captain America were fake, but they weren't. They were just misappropriated essentially.
No. All of the memories people had of Captain America were real. Like they knew his history.
Yeah, I know, but like his actual history, where he actually grew up in a Hydra camp, things were misremembered, but they weren't.
For him,
it was a weird mind fuck with all of that.
Yeah, the reason why that happened is because Korbic put all of those memories in his head that he was actually a Hydra agent, because Red Skull would kind of tell her like night stories to go to sleep, and all the good things that the United States did, he would say the Hydra did it.
Yeah.
So he made Hydra look like they were the good guys. So when she found Captain America and she liked him because he was such a great man, she was like, I can give you your power back and make you what you should have been. And when she brought him back, she brought him back of the ideal character that he's supposed to be, which in her mind was a Hydra agent. Oh my God. And that made for good fucking writing.
But with that being said, we still do need to continue on WandaVision because we have gone on a tangent long enough.
Well, okay, but the reason why is because of the fact that Pleasantville is very much like the way that the story's going. I do believe that they're getting references from that thing, but it's so crazy because there was something that came to mind in the third episode, right? Now, this isn't anything of a spoiler. If you've seen the first two episodes, you've already been introduced to Monica Rambeau's character, which is Gladys, right?
No, it's not Gladys. I was gonna say Gertrude, but I know that's wrong either.
I can't remember the top of her name off the top of my head. Let me see if I can find it real fast. I gotta go back a little bit. Monica Rambeau. Blah, 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 blah. Well, no, I can't think of it off the top of my head. I can't find it. But it's the African American character that's in the show with the big afro. You'll see pictures of her in advertisements. She was also part of the magic show. She's the one that appears in the box. I want to say her name was like Geraldine or Glandale.
Geraldine.
Something like that. Her character is Monica Rambeau, which is an older representation of the little girl from Captain Marvel, the movie. The little girl grown up. Monica Rambeau, the little baby girl. What's cool is in the comic books, her character was actually the first iteration of Captain Marvel. She was actually the original Captain Marvel. And there was a lot of people that were upset that they didn't introduce her first, but there's a possibility that she will be.
Actually, that's incorrect. Captain Marvel was always the first Captain Marvel. But Monica Rambeau came out next, and they were like, "Oh, Captain Marvel," and then Miss Marvel, and blah 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 blah. So like everyone is always like, "She was the original Captain Marvel." No, she wasn't.
No, but I want to say that she was the first person with the title of Captain.
No,
are you sure?
Positive.
Oh man, because I always thought Marvel was just Marvel, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, he titled himself Captain Marvel, Captain Marvel, but. That's that's what was the name. He was a captain. He was a captain in the Kree army.
Well, I guess you could just say I guess the first female Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Okay, that would probably be a little bit better. That's more explained. But first female Captain Marvel, but a lot of people were not happy with the fact that she was younger and didn't introduce the powers and didn't introduce the name in the Marvel universe. But there is a possibility that they're going to probably make her the next Captain Marvel.
I think they're going to call her Spectrum.
But what I think is super cool is the idea of them using the sitcom and the television changing and all of that stuff to represent the powers of Wanda. Because I have a feeling, because there's a picture that they released, and it's the girl, the Marvel, are looking at her fingers, and they're like different colors, like you could see through them.
Yeah, I know, and that's why, like, I really think that they're going to call her Spectrum.
Yes, well, that's what
now she's going through the light spectrum, like as if she's energy, like how she is in the comics.
But I do think that they're going to use the effect of the television changing.
Yeah, that I see. But like, okay, so let's go into spoiler territory. So let's give us the 10 seconds, please.
Okay, guys, couple of seconds. Let's give you, I'll give you. Oh, you know what? I'll give you a little bit of time so you can listen to our new song that we just popped off. I made this the other day. This is going to give you enough time. Right after the song ends, it's going to be spoiler talk for WandaVision. Here we go.
Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go.
Later, Kyle. Enjoy the show.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, guys, welcome to a little bit of the spoiler discussion for WandaVision. We're going to talk about episode 3. Of course, we're going to backtrack and go back to episode 2, episode 1 a little bit. But for right now, straight up episode 3, this show was amazing. There was a lot of stuff. The show is actually in motion now. They started to introduce the pregnancy all the way to the birth of the 2 children, which is what the show has been referencing for the kids, even though there's no other children on the show.
Except for theirs.
Yeah, except for them too. So it's very weird, but for me, the way that I kind of witnessed the show is I do believe that there are two groups of people fighting for Wanda.
Yeah.
I believe it's Sword and I believe it's AIM.
I 100% agree.
And the reason why is because towards the ending of the episode, they introduced that Monica Rambeau is helping Wanda with the birthing.
Yeah.
And the 2 characters are outside speaking, which is Agnes and I forgot the other guy's name.
Herb.
They're outside speaking to each other and they're talking to each other fairly well. Like they know each other. And I'm not talking about that they know each other just in the city, but they kind of know what's going on. Because they have this kind of like concern, like, oh, that other girl is with them and she's new. She doesn't have a home. And we don't even know who she really is.
Yeah, no husband. She has no home.
Nothing. Like, so there is a small group that is connected there, but they are not connected with Monica Rambeau.
Yeah.
But I want to say that she's like an individual character and she's not working with S.H.I.E.L.D. And the reason why I want to say that is because at the last part of the episode, when she gets pushed out and she lands, all the guards go up to her with guns pulled. And they're aiming at her. They're not securing her. It's almost like they're arresting her.
Which I see, but she has that pendant. That's kind of why I'm like, maybe. I mean, you could very well be right. Who the fuck knows at this point?
I mean, that could have been AIM at the end.
Yeah. Heck, who knows? But if that's the case, then, because I'm pretty sure that's also when you see the FBI agent from Ant-Man who's working with the government. And
Wong, I think his name's Wong.
Yeah, or Wang or some shit like that. And either way, now that Sword's been introduced, now I know, or like I'm having a very, very big Nick Fury is involved in some way, shape, or form with this.
It has to be.
But in episode 1, the very, very last thing that you see is someone watching the sitcom, right? Mm-hmm. And you see that it's a female. I think that's Darcy. Okay. I think that now she's working for Sword, because Sword is not the same acronym there that we know in the comics, because in the comics it's the Sentient World Observation Response Department.
Mhm.
This one, I forget what it's called. Like it's MCU. Okay, it's the Sentient World Observation Response Division here, but in but in the comics it's a little bit different, you know. And I think that Darcy, because of, you know, her background with Thor and, you know, and Jane Foster and stuff like that, and her being, you know, basically in astrophysics, you know, for the past, you know, 10 years, I think that now she landed a job at Sword.
That would be pretty interesting. Because, I mean, Eric Selvig still got to be a person in the story.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form. And you know what? There was actually a part of me that actually thought that she was probably going to get hired with AIM.
Which I could also see.
Yeah, which is a possibility. Where instead
and
of
and speaking of that, dude, so everyone says AIM because of the beekeeper costume, right?
Mhm.
But here's the thing. In the beekeeper costume, if you look at it, there's a sword symbol on his back.
Yeah, on his back.
So that's like, a lot of people are like, maybe that's not a beekeeper costume. Maybe it's just like a really rudimentary, like space, you know, astronaut outfit.
Well, okay, so my theory was the reason why this is all going on is because when, like, that, I believe that AIM was originally going after Wanda. And then when all of this shit popped off and they closed off a whole city and all of this shit started happening, where it's more of like a cosmic power that they can't understand, then Sword came and got involved.
Yeah.
Because that's why you're starting to see these characters pop up. And Wong is like, who's doing this to you? Who's doing this to you? And all of these characters inside that bubble are kind of in the same group, minus the only person that we know is a Sword agent, which is Monica Rambeau, who got thrown out. Wanda still has this really great control over the whole entire world that's there.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of says who is and who isn't involved. But I believe that AIM and that lady, what's her name? I just said her name earlier, Agatha.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, because so her name's Agnes there, but I mean, everyone's calling it now that it's Agatha Harkness.
I believe she's going to play a double part, which is she's going to be the bride of Mephisto.
I think she's his proxy.
Yeah, or proxy, right? And then the other thing is she's working with AIM because AIM wants to use her to help Wanda maximize her powers because AIM is still under Strucker. So Strucker knows Wanda and they know how to utilize her power as a weapon.
Yeah, but Strucker died.
Huh?
But Strucker died in Age of
Yeah,
Ultron.
but the thing is like people under Strucker created AIM. Strucker created.
That's true. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
Created AIM. In a way, it's like his own division.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, my theory is that AIM was the first people to get there to get her to use her powers and say that she could do this and bring him back. They worked with Agatha, but they don't know that she works with like the cosmic entities and like the devil stuff, which is like with Mephisto and Dormammu and all of these different esmic of cosmic entities that they can bring in, including Nightmare, which leads you into Doctor Strange. But that's why when the Sword characters are coming in, her mind is automatically associating them with AIM because she cannot tell the difference of who's who in that world.
I mean, that could very well be true. So right now, I still think there's a lot that could be. I mean, obviously, there's a lot that's still going to be revealed. Yeah, I really still think that it's way too early to tell. But I mean, dude, these theories are solid, though.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the reason why that beekeeper thing came out with the Sword outfit is because she remembers the bees that are there, right? It's almost like if she kind of like her mind put them there like by accident. So like there's like these sub levels of different realities that are there.
See, but here's the thing. I think someone's so for a long time, so the entire time I thought that Wanda was the one controlling everything, right? You know, that she was the one kind of shaping everything. And so for the most part she is, but I think that there's some sort of external factor. Mm-hmm. And the reason that I think that is because of Vision. Because when he sits down and he was like, Wanda, there's something wrong here. And then there was like a brief like turnaround and then he does it again. I thought it was my phone.
No, that's
like he was like, Wanda, we have a great life. And I was like, wait. Oh fuck, that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a glitch. I kind of feel like Because Wanda knows he's not alive. She's trying to protect that reality she's created.
Yeah.
Because it's her perfect bubble. But the thing is I believe that her powers are pulling from multidimensional things. And bigger characters can see that and people want to utilize that since she can do that. So like that's why like these realities, they're not just happening to her. You know, when she was giving birth and her water breaks, that character comes in and she says, "Oh shit, I need to get a bucket because my house is underwater."
Yeah.
So it's affecting the entire area.
Yeah. And
Lights
that's
go out,
when you kind of see that pan out, you see that like the city's being affected. So it's
Mhm.
localized. And that's why like I think that it's also drawing on that House of M story. You know, as
Mhm.
well.
There is a part of me that with what happened to Monica Rambeau's character when she gets pushed out, if in some way her interacting with Wanda that close and then going through the outside wall and all this stuff develops her to have powers, I kind of feel like this is what we were talking about earlier, and I'm glad we're talking spoilers a little bit. The last episode is probably, in my opinion, probably going to go with the idea like a reverse option of House of M, where the idea is every episode kind of ends with her saying, "We're so close to getting busted because we're so different. We're so close to getting busted. We're so different, and all we just want to be is normal." And I kind of feel like at the end, Wanda's going to be like, "I don't want to be alone." And she's going to blast her powers out. And that's what's going to create mutants in the world.
Maybe, you know,
I just have this weird feeling like that's where it's going to go.
if that's the way that they bring in mutants, dude, I'm going to hate it.
But then again, like that'll give you the option of her removing them later.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a strong statement. The reason being, and the only reason that I'm even giving any merit to that right now is because Deadpool 3 is now part of the MCU, which
Mhm.
now is gonna like now almost absolutely introduces mutants.
Yeah, like I mean, they have to be there.
Yeah.
It would be so crazy if her pushing Monica Rambeau through that portal gives her the ability, since she kind of came in contact with Wanda in a different way, like that she was able to get powers that way.
Possibly.
You know what I mean? Because like it would be the same. Like she hasn't interacted with a lot of characters with powers other than androids and Thanos. If you think about it in the universe,
I mean, it's true.
like how many other people has she touched with her powers other than Vision, other than Thanos, which is another being from another reality that's already super fucking strong.
Mhm.
Like other than that, she's just fucked up a bunch of Ultron robots, which I was happy that they referenced Pietro and all that shit. That was very cool. A giant wheel that Thanos brought. Like that's pretty much it. She's never really like you know, fucked with anybody else with her powers that's a physical person. Other than of course the Avengers, right? But I mean, we don't look at Black Widow as being like a regular human being, even though she did like just mess with her mind or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Everybody else has powers. But like, what if that's it? Like
Maybe.
I want to say, dude, like it's I mean, it's would it be interesting? Yeah. But would it be bad? Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, no, I don't think it will. Mostly because like right now, like, I mean, the Feige is doing no wrong when it comes to it,
Mhm.
and he knows exactly what the people want.
Man, dude, I want to see if I could find that picture. That would be a little bit cooler for me to show you, because then you'd be like, oh, okay.
No, I know what you're referencing. I do.
Did you get to see that picture? The one that shows her like wiggling her fingers?
Brother, I am scouring for WandaVision shit.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, for what it's worth, I think it's been great. I think the last episode really got it.
Finally got the traction going for me at least.
Got us intrigued, dude. Got us super intrigued. And I'm so happy that it's working that way. So happy that it's working that way. It really did really good this last episode.
Gosh darn, dude, we are already at 220.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we'll get it. But yeah, guys, definitely we're excited for what's coming up. Don't forget to check out episode 3 of WandaVision. Came out yesterday. If you haven't seen it, it's super great. It's fantastic. It really does bring in some light into what's going on in the future. We have 2 months before Falcon and Winter Soldier come up. It's going to be great. That one's awesome too. I'm super excited. Trigger, we are excited for you for tomorrow. Amazing that you were getting married. I've known you for so long, and here we are. Here we are, dude. You're getting to that age that you need to get married. You need to get hitched, boy.
Right.
Yeah, here we go. What does Myers say real quick before we go? I think it's a Professor X scenario where she's lost control of her powers and is sedated, and the show is in her head and Soar's monitoring her dreams.
That could very well be a
Theory.
I can, you know what? I can very much stand behind that theory.
Great theory, Myers. Killer theory.
Yeah.
Guys, we want to say thank you guys for tuning in. We hope you like the show. Again, what's been your favorite wedding that's been going on through sci-fi history, including comics, movies, video games, anime? You guys name it. I was going to say that a cool wedding for me was in the anime, those the guys from Inuyasha, the priest guy and the girl with the big boomerang.
Oh, yes.
I
I forget their names, dude. I haven't watched that anime in fucking years, dude.
But I want to say they got married, and that was one of them that popped in my head. But I think it was so risque that it was like nobody would remember that. But,
Yeah.
For anime, yeah. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you guys so much. Don't forget to tune in with us every Friday, 9 p.m. Come and get some of your nerd news and info with here at the Average Boys Podcast. And don't forget to jump into the conversation with us here in the comment section. Guys, we appreciate you. Man, has our page been growing this last week, hasn't it?
Yeah, dude.
Like we're almost 1,000 likes on our page. Guys, if you can help us share the word, get our name out, come and talk more comics, come and talk more video games with us every Friday here on our Facebook live page, and then catch up with us later. Take us with you on the road wherever you go on your favorite podcasting app, including Spotify, Google Music, iHeartRadio, wherever you want to go, including YouTube. If you guys are out there, add us up on the YouTube channel, The Average Boys Podcast. Guys, I want to say thank you very much to our extraordinary listeners for tuning in. We appreciate you so much, and we hope to see you guys next Friday. And again, congratulations, Sugar. Can't wait to see you married tomorrow, man. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you guys again next week. Laters.